tonight on What to Birdie, and joining me as per usual is my good friend Sater. How you feeling tonight, Sater?
I'm not in hospital. That's a good start. That's a very
Hey,
good
you know,
start. No,
always
I'm feeling
helps.
good. Yeah, it always helps when you're not in A&E, but I'm looking forward to seeing how TMG or D are going to do. I'm very excited to see them actually make it into the playoffs. There was the first game we casted, we were a little bit worried about the way that they played, the style that they had. They looked a little bit lost, but they've obviously made a really, really good run back in. And I think a lot of it is to do with FYS and Crushing Rock. They have been absolutely exceptional in the games that I did manage to catch. On the other side, Elysian are one of those teams that constantly brings out something that breaks my brain.
I was about to say you
Every
had some
single time.
choice words for them outside of the broadcast.
Yeah, for some reason they pick stuff like Vlad and Casio in competitive, and it drives me bonkers. But because we're in best of ones, I'm expecting to see all of that. I'm for some reason in my brain, those two champions stick out to me as stuff that I never want to see again. But it's just something that they do.
Yeah, it is important to mention that while there is a best of 5 going on the main broadcast over on Titan Esports NA, this one will be covering the TMG Death Knights run through the playoff seeding bracket. And how the playoff seeding bracket is going to go is the top 4 teams from the group. The 4th team in these groups of 3 was decided by best game record, and if the game record was tied, it's best win percentage, which gets a little funky, but all you need to know is we have TMG DK, Elysian, Havoc Barbarians, and Omega Gaming Goobers. So we have these 4 teams that are going to be playing 3 different best of ones all against each other to decide who takes first seed, second, third, and fourth in the next round. These 4 teams have a bye in the round of 12 that is going on over on the main stream. What we're going to be watching is 3 different best of ones following TMG DK all the way through this run. If they lose, they're not out. They don't get knocked out of the tournament or anything like that. These 3 best of ones are entirely to decide seeding. This is all about who is your opponent going to be coming into the next phase of playoffs.
And it's very important because you kind of want to pick a team stylistically that you know you can beat throughout a best of 5. You want to make sure that your champion pools are either deeper or better against this team. There's no point in picking a team that plays Malphite, Rammus, and you only want to play AD mid laners. You're going to have a very tough time against that. So little things like that will go a long way in these ones. That is a very simplified explanation of it, but some teams do like to play more into poke or team fight, while you don't really want to be going up against a team that specializes in split pushing if you want to group, because they will just run the macro train around you. So it's very important for them to get an eye of what they want to do, how they want to play, figure everything out, and maybe test out a couple of other things here as well, because this is your last real week to test out on live stage.
Yeah, this is your last week to, like, outside of scrims, really test things out. Like you said, it's best of 1. So this is not the fearless best of 5s that we were, I'm not going to say hoping to see, because they are still going on over on the other stream, but like the fearless best of 5s and fearless best of 3s that we've been seeing throughout the rest of the regular season, which has been, I gotta say, an absolute delight. I love seeing what these teams pull out. This is 3 entirely separate best of 1s. We are LTA style here, where we are going for just best of 1s fearless style.
We don't speak those words over here. Also, I have to bring this up to you, Birdie, because we had an argument about this in the past. How did NA do at the first stand? How did you?
Not great. Not great. Although
semis, finals, was it finals? No, you didn't make finals.
Who did you guys beat to make it there?
All of them.
All of them.
We made top esports. We made top esports look like NA.
Okay, let's be fair. Top esports collapsed in that tournament. I don't know what happened with them, but they did not look good.
They do it every year. There's nothing new there. Anyway, we made it to finals. KC made it there and took a game off of HLE.
Took a single game off of HLE, which is impressive. HLE is looking really good this year.
Yeah, so I'm hoping to see maybe a little bit of that, a little bit of one spicy player picking something so absurdly disgusting and then just taking over the game. Let's not have Cream anymore. let's get rid of that player. But maybe some Kalist, maybe Crushing Rock will take that C
maybe
and
a little Vladdy
back
in
to
there.
W. See, the worst thing is I was on an org with Vladdy before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I was on Natives, which is an Irish organization, which Vladdy was a part of, and he won the NLC with Natives while I was a content creator for them, and I'd done all their games and casted all of them. So I was quite friendly with Vladdy, but he went and joined the French team, so I have no care for him anymore. we don't. Europe hates the French. The French are winning for us. We have this really rocky relationship at the moment.
Yeah, it's very much a you love to hate him kind of deal. It's kind of I don't know if you know any sort of American football, but it's how we feel about the New England Patriots when Tom Brady was on the team.
But yeah, but
They're a team
everyone
that
hates
just
Tom
like
Brady.
yeah, exactly. They're a
He
team that was
kisses his
just
son on
like
the lips.
which is also weird, but they won all the
Strange.
time. It's the same like baseball and the Yankees. They're a team that's always fairly good, middle to the top of the pack. You love to hate them, except for KC. It was always like when they first joined in the league anyway, weren't they like bottom three? Like every
Yeah,
split up until recently.
they brought in their Masters team and
They brought in
got
Calist.
absolutely bodied. No, they got bodied for an
No,
entire year. They went,
yeah.
this is bad. Let's go get the best we can get and a really good rookie.
Let's
And
grab Calist. Let's grab the Yike. Let's grab Vladdy and Kana as well, who
Yike
was
kind of fell into their hands more than they went and tried to
somehow.
get him. Do
But
you
we're
think they
talking a
needed a
little bit too
change?
much about LEC currently. I think we should be ready to get into draft just about now. I'm hearing from our producer that we should be good to go. So we should be getting to that draft in a couple of seconds. You were mentioning picks like Cassiopeia, Vladimir, like your mouth fights, these one-off picks and best of ones that you sometimes really don't like to see. I'm curious what you're expecting to see coming into this game.
There's always messy champions that really shouldn't be getting through these drafts, but for some reason, Elysian Esports always surprise me with their picks. So I wouldn't mind seeing something strange, but with the more recent changes to ADC, a lot of people are stepping away from some of those weird ones, and they're kind of going back towards the kind of more normalized ones. I believe we had before with Elysian as well. They went into not a Legion, TMG. They had the Aurora. That was a very, very solid, strong pick for them.
Yeah.
But with
The Aurora is
Varus,
something that they do like to play around with FYS.
they're taking away the Varus straight away, which means they're going to focus on bot side, which means they should get rid of the Lulu, so no Jinx. Ash should be priority. I don't know why teams aren't. I'm so angry with teams. Every
Kalista
single
and Ash are
game.
still up and available, yeah.
Get rid of them. Just get rid of them. But Urgot.
Urgot
very
taken away
strange
from
one.
Bleeding Wolves makes a lot of sense. This is a champion that he's very comfortable with. And in best of ones, you ban away the comfort picks. You ban away what people believe that they're strongest on. It's also important to mention, with the next patch coming out soon, we are still on patch 25.04. We're not on 21. No, we're on 25.5. We're not on 25.6 yet, as we were mentioning it earlier, the Aurora that's been so strong for FYS, TMGDK is going to have their hands on it first round.
Yes, so we're going to see the Aurora come through, which is great. On the other side, that should just be an Ahri. Yeah, Ahri immediately, because that's just what you want to do. You want to give Aurora her space and then take as much space around that as humanly possible. I wouldn't mind like a Poppy or something here on the other side, just to kind of get a little bit more in the terms of a response. But Tristana is not a bad pick, but
I'm thinking that Poppy could be really good for TMG already. Looking at Ahri Tristana, you know Tristana's going to be in the bottom lane, so you can flex the Poppy either into support as a disengager or in the jungle as a good ganker. But with the Vi locked in, I'm assuming that we're probably not going to see a Poppy for them, which makes me worried about, like you were mentioning, a Poppy pick on 3 here for Elysian.
it could be a Pop. And like, it could be a support top. Poppy's quite flexible.
Oh,
Wants
well,
to be
now it
on
has to be.
Tessa. Yeah,
Now it has to be. If this
has
isn't
to be
Poppy on 3, it's getting banned.
Or they're just crazy. But no, Poppy, it works into all of them, so it kind of has to be the first choice. We're going to go for a Rek'Sai, which has been rising in popularity due to not a lot of the current main champions have that unique gank path style. So Zac has fallen out of favor. So Rek'Sai's kind of crept in and under, pardon the pun, but has crept in under, been able to get those unique gank paths and be an aggressive jungler alongside the likes of Jin Zhao. So I don't mind Rek'Sai's resurgence. She is a great champion. I just don't like how all in you are, like, because you are all in. You are not getting out.
Yeah, I'm also seeing a suspicious lack of Poppy bans for either side when I'm looking at count them 6 different champions, all with dashes that can be interrupted by that steadfast presence, as Pyke is going to be the ban for TMG DK alongside the Singed. So we're really targeting down comfort pools, but it means that strong picks like Poppy, even all of the engaged supports like Nautilus, Leona, Blitzcrank are all going to be up and available, as Mordekaiser is going to be the pick into this Aurora.
They've left open a rest of the team fight comp. It's Misfortune and Nautilus.
Misfortune Rel? Misfortune Nautilus, Misfortune Rel, Misfortune Leona even could work. There's the MF, and it's just going to be a matter of which engaged support does TMG want. They could even take, technically, like something that's Peel more enchanty, since they have Vi and Aurora to go for engages, but it feels like something consistent, like, what? Hey, what? I'm
I
assuming that
believe our
this is not
producer is
going to be
screaming. He's just
a
screaming in the
Kale.
background. Can we get an update on what that
Yeah.
actually is?
Nautilus is the final
Nautilus.
pick for Homura, so you were correct on that call. As you were talking about it earlier, it's going to be Vladimir.
No, that's there's
Okay.
Poppy. There's the Poppy.
He's not a Vladimir. You got baited by our producers. That's a Poppy that we were kind of expecting
We
to
say
see.
producers, Brady. Let's be honest. It's not producers. It's Chris.
It's producer singular.
No, it's going to be Chris this time. I'm going to be nice to Shrogan just for this week for playoffs, and then I'll really bully him come next week. But no, we're blaming Chris. But yeah, so it's Nautilus Poppy. Yeah, so
Yeah, and
Nautilus really does make sense here.
Yeah, I'm so surprised to see the Nautilus locked in instead of the Poppy. I'm looking at Rek'Sai, not Talia, Tristana and Ahri.
Rek'Sai's unstoppable in
ulti, but she can be knocked out of her burrow because that's a dash and not just like, you don't go underground in League of Legends.
You're just gonna invert.
Yeah. On the other side,
It's
though,
like Stranger Things.
You go to the other side, whatever they called it.
Here's the main thing, though. Does Vladimir see Rek'Sai when they both invert? Are they just staring at each other angrily in T poses?
Probably.
Like,
But for the Poppy pick, on the other
dominance.
side, Ambessa, Vi, Aurora, and Nautilus, even Miss Fortune, she can take decent advantage of having a couple of good ways to cancel out that ulti. It just seems like such a, not to use like Twitch terms, but such a giga pick into this comp. It just feels so insanely good.
I do love this little intro. But also
It is a very nice intro.
Unfortunately,
unfortunately, it says best of 5, which is not the case.
That part. It shows us the shopkeeper that doesn't exist anymore.
Oh yeah, I haven't looked at that side of the shop in a while. Is that guy still gone?
I don't think anyone ever looks at the stuff until we're on this broadcast.
I look at the shopkeepers. I looked at it way back in my day when the map first got updated. As we're on to the Rift here, it's game number 1 of 1. I'm gonna have to get used to that throughout the rest of this day. As a potential invade spotted out by TMG. It was just MLG Pro, so maybe they don't sniff out a potential invade. But it looks like everyone's just gonna walk back.
Is Hamora sticking back to change to a sweeper? Or is Hamora just late?
Looks like they went back for the sweeper. I like that call. It just seems like a good initial first call for the supports. They're going to be able to sweep out the red buff, make sure that Floops is entirely protected on this jungle clear.
Everything's nice and calm. No invades. Yeah. Keep it easy. So let's have a look here because... Oh no. Uh-oh.
Oh, it's a bit of an early start. The Halo Blades immediately death, trying to get onto Crushing Rock. That explosive charge is going to do a lot to Crushing Rock, but Walt is taking quite a bit back. You got to remember, the Nautilus does quite a bit of damage. The Ignite is down. Barrier's ticking away. Flash is traded. Walt is going to be able to survive. Death is going to get rooted up by that passive and get the stun into the wall. And Homer's the one in trouble, has to flash away. The bottom lane's so low, but no one will die.
Yeah, but Floops is in the area. Floops could try and sneak down for this one. Flashes were burned from the Tristana. The jump will not be available just yet. They got to watch for the level 2, but level 2 looks like it's going to be won by the bot side of TMGD, but no hook lands. Things are still messy here, though, as in the mid lane, a lot of damage taken by MLG.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the scrappiness that you can expect from a best of 1. Teams are looking for any sort of cheesy advantage that you can get in the early game because it's not like a best of 3 or best of 5 where you get redos, do-overs, any sort of like evening out of skill levels. It is all about the cheese. As Death is looking for an all-in again. Crushing Rock is going to pop the barrier, but Walt has already jumped in. The explosive charge, that's first of blood as we got a gank in the mid lane as well. Hamura's in trouble, but inside the minion wave is going to try and walk away, but Hamura will get knocked down. Death will lock that one in, but it's a nice counter gank from Floops to save his mid laner, so FYS will get something back in the cross-map exchange.
Yeah, the Aurora that we speak of so often when it comes to TMGD has picked up a lead, especially in a lane where Ahri's just meant to stay safe and play with the jungler. Better work already coming through from Floops and FYS. But let's, yeah, we're going to get a replay of this fight in the mid lane, so we're going to get a little bit more idea on that, as Rek'Sai did die. A little bit sucky. You don't really want to see that happen.
Rough. A little rough, yeah.
Sweeper, good setup. FYS gets a decent trade. Oh, the knock up. Yeah, from there, it's just FYS hops out, invisible, and here comes Floops. It's such an easy
Yeah.
setup when you have the idea of the pathing as well as a jungler. You're just waiting to see that.
It really was just the lack of combined timing there, I feel, between the knockup and the charm. MLG Pro just couldn't get fully in range for it in time, as some nice pathing here from Floops is potentially going to be able to punish Bleeding Wolves, as we've got an exchange in the mid lane, as it's going to be MLG Pro going down. Trades 1-for-1 with FYS. Now moving back to the top side, the Vi still wants to make that gank happen. Flash is traded. Bleeding Wolves, he's going to flash away. Floops still wants to follow, but is just going to be forced to walk away as the Mbessa doesn't have the range to follow. So everyone else will walk away, but a death in the mid lane traded 1-for-1.
Yeah, and a Legion will get the feat of Warfare, so they'll put themselves on the board at least for those upgraded boots. So they've got a good start to a little advantage that will stay forever in the game. It is one of those crazy ones. I'm not going to talk about Ryan balancing too much, but we're going to have a look at the junglers because still, right now, Floops has not recalled. So that means that they're going to go for trying to get as much gold kind of value as they can so they can force a couple of objectives early because that Drake is coming up really soon. They're not going to have a reset timer for it. So I'm expecting a ward to come through from Hamora, keep an eye on the Drake, and then move towards the top and try to get 1-for-2.
Yeah, potentially either try and fight the early dragon or trade for those grubs. You have those options in the early game, and in best of ones like this, it is really important how good your decision making is in the clutch like this. How quickly can your team make a choice to either make a fight like that happen or choose to make the cross map instead? For both of these teams, this game is one of three that's going to matter a lot about your potential playoff seeding. So you really have to be careful of how you're going to approach these games, how you're going to approach each individual draft that you're in, as FYS is going to get a decent little chunk out of MLG Pro there. And I'm going to be honest, Sater, throughout this particular season, I've seen a lot of Ahri. I haven't seen a ton of very impressive Ahri.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of Ahris get absolutely bodied by Silas's, and that's when I stopped having faith. Like the main thing about Ahri is you are not a mid laner. You are a support that does damage. You just play for your jungler. That's how you're meant to play that champion.
Don't say that too loud. Carry is going to start picking it in support.
Yeah, true. But no, it's you're meant to be supporting your jungler at all stages of the game. And right now we see that we see from the side of Legion, they want to go for this. They're trying to get in on this.
For half. Chill Savior's in the pit, though. Dragon's down to 900. Who's going to be able to get this smite off? It's stolen away. Chill Savior's going to grab it, and the Elysian are going to start taking the fight as well, already making it 2-for-1. Walt is going to be forced to dash out. There goes the second death. Hamura's going to finally fall, and MLG Pro has that Spirit Rush. Is going to try and keep dashing forward. A nice charm to cancel out the Vault Breaker means that Floops will go as well. They'll gift it over to Walt, and Elysian come out hugely ahead in this scuffle.
That's what I was saying. That's one of those things. Ahri, if you can play for your jungler, you will win the game. They get to the fight. This helps set up some picks, sets the resets for Walt. Right now, FYS, no ult available. He's in a little bit of trouble, but we'll be able to just step out. Look at that little spirit flying back. That's a nice little bit of healing for you, too.
I thought they removed the healing on that, didn't they? It's just, no, they removed the movement speed. It's just healing now. Right. I remember my patch notes. I do this professionally.
I don't care. I don't like that champion. They keep making mid laners that can get away from me as a Jinx. Why? I already don't have mobility. Why do you be so mean?
Mobility creep?
Yeah, but like she's one of the best champions and she has an entire series based about her life.
It is going to be the first grub taken by Elysian. It is going to be just given up, though, as the rest of members of TMG are going to move up, start to take the second and third grub. So there won't be a objective taken there in terms of the feat score, but it will just be traded over. I think Chill Savior is maybe looking for just a cheeky steal over the wall with that Prey Seeker. With the smite, though, won't manage to get anything done. It just watches the grubs go.
Well, it is a split camp. So with grubs in particular, if you don't get all three, you don't get the mark towards the three objectives, which means that Legion are happy taking the one and just resetting it. They still have the advantage. They got the Drake while Death.
I don't think this is what he intended. This is not what he intended to do. He's going to take the Raptors, realize that he's taking a lot of damage from that, doesn't want to make the dive happen, and just ends up walking away. I like the look at the very least. This is what you need to do if you're playing Halo Blades, especially on this Poppy. You need to be looking for these creative angles, looking to try and make plays constantly, because you will get eventually outscaled by the utility that Nautilus has in the mid and late game.
Yeah, Poppy is one of those champions that can be very oppressive if you do it correctly and are constantly on the map. But on the other side of things, if you don't, you do have this horrible moment of I do nothing but push them away from people.
Hmm.
And that is the worst feeling. And I'm sure everyone that has been playing League for a while will remember the old Infernal that got rid of walls. That
Oh
was a fun
yeah.
time.
Poor Poppy. In games like that, it just feels so rough. As it looks like the Crushing Rock is going to go for the much more standard, I would say, Misfortune build, where you go Bloodthirster into Essence Reaver. You just play for lane dominance and consistency. Whereas Walt is playing a little bit more aggressively. Already has that first item collector thanks to that couple of kills that he was granted by the rest of his squad. It's going to make life for Crushing Rock though, and for Homura very, very difficult.
Yeah, it will be a long kind of ride back into the game here for Crushing Rock. I'm excited to see how if they'll be able to do it because you have boots of swiftness. You're already playing a little more defensively. You don't want to get slowed anymore. On the other side, it's a Kindle gem. That's all that's afforded right now. Is Death is rushing towards that, but is flying into waves. But Misfortune is in such a difficult position right now that you're looking at, oh, do I just ult waves? Do I just get rid of them? I can try to get some damage down? How much damage can I do without actually just straight up
Ooh,
dying?
nice little
How much
keep his
help
verdict
can
there
you
from
get?
Death.
Not a lot. Loopy's
Yeah.
Loops can't get in.
Floops can't get in. Homura's going to struggle to engage. I think their only saving grace truly is that Death can realistically only block one of those engaged CCs. You either stop the hook from following up or you stop that Vault Breaker from getting in. If you can get both, that's just a mistake on the part of the members of TMG, as there's a potential dive in, explosive shot used. Chill
Oh god.
Savior wants to execute, eats the Misfortune for breakfast. He's gonna end up dying under turret for it, but you're giving the shutdown over to Nautilus. Of anyone to give it to, that's the one you wanted to go for.
Yeah, it was a lovely little setup there, and the Prey Seeker to come through on the other side to to just snipe it, get themselves set up, rocket blast forward, I suppose. Like there's a Team Rocket joke in there somewhere. But,
They're blasting in again.
but it's just like the rocket from Tristan, it's knocked them back into an area where they're not getting covered by a Nautilus. And then Rek'Sai flying towards it like a rat after some cheese. It was just such an easy little setup for them. And it takes them into a very advantageous position in this bot side, as we see. As I looked back down, there was just a bomb on top of Nautilus's head, and he was very low.
Yeah, he's not feeling too threatened at this point, I think, just with the amount of HP he has, but you do have to be a little bit careful as the Tristana has flash, the Poppy has flash, and Engage can come
Tristana
pretty
has
much out of
collector.
nowhere. Yeah, she also has her full collector, so Mura potentially looking for an Engage there, but realized that Death was still in that brush, pops the ward down to confirm, and everyone will end up walking away. This hopefully recall should give TMG some time for Crushing Rock to collect a bit of the wave, get a decent recall off. We want to see that Bloodthirster finished pretty much as soon as possible for him, just so he can get online and be an active member of the game and of the laning phase in particular. As potential little scuffle here, flash in from Depth. They just want the engage. They just want to throw everything down on the jungler, and goodbye goes Floops. Goodbye goes Death. As a trade 1-for-1. As the Call of the Void comes through, Chill Savior does not manage to pick up Homura. Charm in from MLG Pro, flashes over the wall, manages to escape with his life. Just barely, but a nice little turnaround there from TMG to get something out of the exchange.
But more importantly, it all went on to Misfortune. Misfortune picked up the kills, was the greatest benefactor in that fight. So as we see it start up here, the idea from Death is let's just kill Floops as fast as possible and everyone get out. So as soon as they went to step onto the Rek'Sai tunnel, bang, go. And everyone jumps, everyone lands everything. Charms, jumps, rockets, bombs, everything lands. But Crushing Rock just goes, okay, cool, you're in my area. Just drops the bullet time, picks up one, out of position for the Rek'Sai, picks up a second. MLG Pro trying their very best to get some damage back, but can't get through the beefiness and Nautilus. Walt can't rejoin the fight. They're just going to recall. It was a perfect setup for that one kill. I don't think they realized the damage to be that quick coming out of the side of TMGD.
I think the big deal for them is the fact that Walt ended up getting so low at the end of that play as we're potentially getting engaged on. Has the aftershock though, so is very tanky. Looking for a hook back in. Manages to catch the wall, not Walt, as he's going to eat a lot more damage, be under just about a third HP. Potioning back up. Tristana with the lethal tempo gets very scary, but I think a little bit less scary now as she doesn't have a flash or a barrier since that last fight. She needed both to escape from the Aurora ulti. So maybe now a potential target for TMG if they can actually manage to find a way in on her.
Brain disconnected for a second there, and I thought that Nautilus was going to swing on that wall like an Aksham. I just the worst fear in my mind right there. That was crazy. But yeah, just a lot of damage coming out from Tristana, but they don't have that Navori quick blades where you'll see that constant attack speed steroid that
Mhm.
Tristana loves to just constantly reset. But we
You
do have a
combine
trade
the
for.
You
Mhm.
combine the Navori with the lethal tempo, and it's pretty much the only attack speed you need when you press Q. You can just build pure AD after that, which I'm gonna be real for Tristan is kind of a shame because your physical damage crit items are not the best for her currently. You've got a lot of ones that give good amounts of attack speed and crit. You have a couple of ones that give AD and crit. Like when she gets her IE, she's gonna be feeling really strong, but you don't really want to build Guntal Wild Arrows this late into the game. You already have your collector, so you could build, I guess, Essence Reaver if you wanted just some AD and some crit, but that feels a little awkward on the Trist.
I do myself personally like the Untal build when it comes
Oh,
to
Walt
Chris, but that's a
goes for
lot
the
of damage
engage.
coming through.
Flashing from Floops does not manage to get that the Vaultbreaker to connect, but the cease and desist will, which means the Tristana will end up falling. Late TP from MLG Pro, maybe looking to follow up with something. Has the Spirit Rush, looking for the charm, manages to find it on Homura, but that's not the target you want. Is Death now, I think, is going to be the target. There's that between worlds. Poppy's going to get rooted up, will get knocked down. Crushing Rock will be the benefactor. A killing spree now for the Misfortune.
Yeah, the Rift was placed and FYS had everything they needed. As this is
This
a
jump in
setup,
from Walt.
Walt knew
On vision,
Floopy was
too.
there as well.
Wow, I didn't even see the ward up there. But yeah, Floop's entirely on vision at the start of this play. And after that, everything just starts falling apart for the members of Elysian.
Yeah, well, what can you even do in that situation? You know, as the Tristana, you know that you have messed up that situation and it is done. There is no coming back from that one. And Death probably should have just ran towards the tower there instead of trying to sit in that bush. Regardless of being warded or not, there's no reason for you to try and make a play there. Just get out, or at
Mm-hmm.
least attempt to. Even Hex Flash and charge it up and try to get some little bit of extra space. Is I believe they also have the cloak to
The
give it a little bit
Nimbus?
of extra speed. Yeah, I think they do. So is that an ignite?
Uh,
Just a flat ignite?
yeah, you know what? Sometimes you just got to do the move that will give you the most aura.
That's negative aura right there. Zamora will also find Poppy right now. They will get the
He
knockup. They
does stuff
will
as
get all the
presence.
CC.
Uses it for the speed, has Chill Savior and MLG Pro in the area, so now Homura may be the one in trouble, but neither team really wants to fully pull the trigger on the enemy support, as they know you throw too many resources on that one and the rest of the team can just dive in on you.
Yeah, that one looked very messy. I'm not gonna lie. That
Mm-hmm.
there was not a lot of thought process behind that one.
Yes.
But
Potentially in
Chill
trouble here. He's going to get a
Savior.
little trade onto MLG. Has the invisibility, but is spotted out thanks to that Rek'Sai pass of the Charm lands, and FYS will just get deleted. Shot down over to Chill Savior. And that's a nice little pick for Elysian.
Yeah, that's a decent pickup for them now. They should be able to get that tower as well off of that one, set themselves up to complete the feats, which will put them in it's a great momentum builder with winning feats. Just off the
Mm-hmm.
back of that, sometimes you just feel good. It's like, yeah, I got better boots. I've got fresher Jordans. It's just everything works out a little bit better. But it doesn't actually matter that much because you never really finish those till like third or fourth item if you have spare
Yeah.
gold. It's
The
it,
win rate difference from previous seasons where we didn't have the feats of warfare, but still kept track of things like who got first dragon, who got first blood, who took like first tower, and the difference between that and the stat changes or the stats now of feats of warfare win rate is not all that different. I think it was a difference of like a couple of percentage points in favor of the newer season. So it doesn't increase your win rate exponentially, but I think that mental factor is a really big deal as is that a Serpent's Fang in the inventory of Rek'Sai? I'm going to have to put that on pause as Floops is caught out 1v4. That is not the situation you want to be in. The rest of the team started to come through, but Crushing Rock going to be in trouble. A nice flash knock up from Chill Savior. Still has the damage. MLG Pro will be able to knock that one down, and Homura will be the next to go. Walt with the lethal tempo, just knocking him over. A bad exchange from TMG means that Elysian are going to take control of the map.
yeah, Legion are starting to find the picks, find the moments, and more importantly, find the towers. This is one of the things I always talk about. Is just like just make sure to get towers. Whenever you're making a play, you need to get something off of it, or it's just dead gold. It's just a nice little 300 buffer. It's fine. They'll catch the next wave and get half of it back anyway. If you take the towers off of it, that's a lot more money. That's a lot more macro. It's a lot more plays that can be made because you lose vision, you lose spacing, and you lose pressure, and that's the most important thing. So right now they get a tower plus Rift Herald. Great
And
play.
FYS.
And FYS off the back of it. Look, that's great work. Wonderful. Very, very proud of you.
Yeah, a couple of things to think about in the interim as Elysian, I think, handedly have control of the map now. We're definitely seeing a ruinous Otacon. One, the Serpent's Fang and inventory of Rek'Sai, I want to keep an eye on how many shields that actually ends up canceling out over the course of the game, because there's a lot of minor shields, like the Vi passive, the Bloodthirster, the Nautilus W.
Ambessa.
The other thing is, we haven't, and Bessa does have her W as well, yes. We haven't mentioned it once yet. That's the $500 Ari skin.
I'm not going to speak. If I speak, I'll be in big trouble.
If I speak, I will get in trouble. We just need to point that out. That is a fact that MLG Pro did drop $500 on that Ari bundle. Nothing else added to that statement. That is just a fact that needs to be stated on broadcast, as Elysian are going to pick up that
fracture Jinx. I can't speak.
Yeah, you really can't speak, as it is going to be that second dragon picked up for Elysian. The turret is going to go down. Bleeding Wolves will still get up there to collect the rest of the wave, but at least something back for TMG, as the Make It Rain will spot out the members of Elysian, but Fluke is still going to have to lose that flash, as MLG Pro, chasing down with that Spirit Rush, manages to escape. But this map is handedly in control of Elysian, and it's so difficult for TMG to actually even get resources on their own side of the map.
They're not getting the opportunity to actually play the game right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those really sad moments in a game where it's like, I can't enter my jungle, I can't go to a side lane, they're always around me, and you can see it right here. That is literally the couch meme.
Yeah, you're invisible, but Rek'Sai can see you when she's underground. She's going to burn the flash and the ulti, but Wald has the flash in response. That explosive charge does a ton of damage when the Tristana builds that crit.
Yeah, that's a nice easy pickup for them as well. FYS is just getting eaten alive on these side lanes, and what can you do in response? Not much, as Chill Saber actually finds one more Floops and a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, has that cease and desist, is going to cancel Walt out of the air, but that's just a dead Vi, and this is the issue with Vi when you're behind. How do you actually manage to find value in fights like this? You press your ulti, sure, but who's there to follow up? Who's there to actually deal damage with you?
Yeah, you can't rely on Caitlyn this time around because it's not in the game. Right now, it's just going to be a free Akatan, but it looks like it might be an attempted contest here. You see Hamora walking up.
With no smite, this feels very, very hopeful. Death is currently on the flanking maneuver. Night Ravens is here. We haven't seen him interact with the map all too much. Gets that cease and desist off. Gets onto the backline. Public execution. It's shut down over to Crushing Rock. Death still putting in work, though, on the poor misfortune. Is the Aiden carry going to be 1v1'd by the support? Probably so. Hamura's going to try and save him, but it's just too late. Death is on a killing spree. In the meantime, the rest of the members of Elysian have teleported in, have come back through, and have decided to clean up the fight.
Yeah, it was a lovely bullet time over the top as they attempted to get something on the Akatan there, but no, it just doesn't come to fruition. They don't get everything they need from it, and it just turns into another one for Elysian. They do get bonus points as well for the 1v1 support versus ADC combat, but it is looking very dire right now for TMGD. They do not have any way I can see feasibly of one player bringing this back. They need a hell of a lot of help.
They really need the team to come through together, and unfortunately, they're not in a great spot to do it. Night Ravens was forced to go for the Maul of Malmorti's first item to try and stay alive versus Mordekaiser in this lane, which means that their normal build path of the Eclipse into either Voltaic Cyclosword or Black Cleaver is going to be a lot slowed down. They're going to finally finish up that Eclipse now, but it's going to take them a long time to get to that point of relevance, whereas Mordekaiser's got his 2-item spike. He's got the Rylai's, he's got the Leandries, he's got his value. He doesn't care about anything else that he builds. He's got his 2 items. He's good. Yeah,
Mordekaiser is pretty much full build. There's nothing else required of that champion.
They're looking for MLG Pro, but that's an Ahri with Spirit Dash. She's just going to be able to get the heck out of dodge. And Death with the Dead Man's Plate is also going to keep moving his way out of there. And it just feels like desperation from TMGDK. They're just looking for picks repeatedly, but it's so difficult to actually lock someone down as Death stuck in the 1v5, but still might manage to make its way out. No, the public execution will come through, and FYS will lock that one down. But what are you losing in the meantime to get that side lane pick?
Yeah, it is all falling apart right now. As if you look around the map, they're also losing towers for free on the other side. Bleeding Wolves
loses this. Into the Death Realm he goes. Bleeding Wolves has that W shield, so he's going to get a lot of health back when that pops, as Night Ravens just cannot trade with this Mordekaiser. The grass comes through, but it's just no healing. There's just no damage. There's just nothing for TMG. Chill Savior picks that one up. In the meantime, in the mid lane, Walt is also going to be able to pick up Crushing Rock and escape with his life. It's a disaster game here for TMG.
Yeah, but it is their first game. They still have a lot more League of Legends to play in the future, so hopefully
Mhm.
they'll be able to pick it up. I just feel like this draft just got outmaneuvered way too early, and it just
My
stopped them from being
question
able to unlock it.
again My question again is on this Poppy that was left until 5th pick red side, as Crushing Rock tried to use the ulti defensively to just clear the wave, but with the turret gone, Walt can just jump in and take you down.
Yeah, it is just one of those games where you start playing for fun halfway through as Elysian, as they can do kind of whatever they want, and it's time to like limit test, which is the worst feeling you can have.
Yeah. I think, and again, I have to bring my mind back to that draft. This Poppy that was left until 5th pick on red side. You're looking at Rek'Sai, you're looking at Tristana, you're looking at Ari. In my head, that feels like a perfect Poppy draft. You even had the opportunity. Blue side 5th pick, it was still up and available, but you opt for the Nautilus instead. As they're gonna look for a side lane pick onto Bleeding Wolves here. Doesn't have the Death Realm, so we'll be stuck in the 2v1. Should eventually fall. Maybe they can give it over to FYS here, but he's got the Shattered Arm Guard as well, so we'll still have plenty of time, and Floops will pick up that kill. At the very least, something here for TMGDK.
Yeah, it just feels like Ambessa and Mordekaiser aren't really in this game. Like they
Honestly,
haven't been
yeah.
doing enough to
The
excite
true top
us.
lane island game.
Yeah, like they're just in the call, like vibing or singing in the background. Like there's not much really going on with them. So what do you
Engage
really want to
in.
do? Die? I
MLG Pro
suppose?
gets caught. It's a nice pick there for TMG again, making side lane plays happen. They're not out of the game just yet. Chill Savior looking for potential counter pick as FYS gonna burn that teleport. I think Komura is just gonna be the sacrificial lamb here for the rest of the squad to make it out. As sometimes this is support, this is your job. You just gotta die so the rest of the team can live.
Yeah, Nautilus on a journey. At least if you're
He's
doing this as
stalling
Nautilus.
time. He's stalling time. It's 2 objective, and he's also picked up for TMG. Homura might eventually be able to make it out if there's not at least an ulti or 2 burned here. As there's that Rek'Sai ult, the Prey Seeker landed, and Homura counters out the blast code, but will eventually fall over time. But stalled a lot of time for the squad, and the rest of Elysian is not in a position to take advantage of this in any way. So good death, Homura. Way to go.
It is, but if you're ever doing this as Nautilus and I'm watching and you know I'm watching, just press Control 3 so you change the eyes to the really happy ones for me. It just makes it look so much more comical in my mind. That is my favorite Nautilus skin as well. It is
Everybody
absolutely
loves
exceptional.
Astro Nautilus. Everybody loves Astro Nautilus.
Yeah, it is. It's a wonderful skin. I wish I wish Nautilus had a few more nicer skins because it just feels like they've forgotten about them a little bit. Like,
A little,
we'll put
yeah.
your statue on the bottom of the ocean with loads of people's names on it, and yeah, that'll be it for you, buddy. Did you forget I done
Yeah.
that with Nautilus?
I honestly had forgotten a little bit. I had to pull that memory out of my mind and remember. Yeah, it's a cool thing they did, but nothing else.
Just some better skins.
And there's that faker signature, as you can see from the $500 Ari skin. When you destroy a tower, you get to leave a little signature on the ground. It's very cool. But Legion are going to be starting up the Baron here. I think just with the damage of Walt and Chill Savior, eventually they'll take it down. But it means that TMG has time to come in, potentially contest. They're going to let the Baron reset, looking for a fight instead. But members of TMG just peel away a little too quick.
Yeah, they just managed to step away. There's not much else they really need to do in situations like that. They just need to be cautious with what they want to do. And they're playing pretty decently in terms of macro. A couple of catches here and there with MLG Bro getting caught on the top side. But there are things that can be ironed out. You don't really have to worry about that too much right now. You have so much to play with. Well, Team GD, they have to walk blind into this Baron pit.
Yeah, already down to 4K. They're looking for potential engagement. Murs in the pit, but where is Floop? Stuck in the death room with Bleeding Wolves, so no chance of a steal. Public execution used, but there's just no follow-up. There's just no damage. The Baron's over. The bullet time is great, but your Misfortune doesn't do any damage. She's built for laning phase, not for the team fights, and now Legion are going to feast in the fight. A triple kill over to Walt, maybe looking for more. Taken by MLG Pro, so no pent opportunity, but it will be a Legion taking this game over TMG and setting themselves up for a potential first seed coming into playoffs.
Yeah, potential first seed. There's still a lot more games to be played, but a really, really good start. And they look like they're more prepped for these best of ones right now. They're more prepped to go into these, and they seem to have an idea of what they want to do. They want to play these lanes hard, fast, and they don't want to stop the pressure at any point. And I think that's a really good plan in best of ones.
Yeah, this is what you can do in the best ones. You can pull out the picks like the Mordekaiser, the Halo Blades, Poppy support. You can make the plays like that and say, hey, how prepped are you? How prepped are you for this truly? How ready are you to actually, play into comps like this? Because in a best of 3, you lose one game like that, you don't have to see those champions again. You can say, we just weren't prepped for that. We'll win game 2 and 3 off of better prep, better draft, better anything. But it's a best of 1. Sometimes you just end up taking the loss there.
You gotta know your stuff. It doesn't matter. You have to be able to go into these and know they'll play something like this. And for all the comfort bans that came through, they looked very comfortable in what they got in the end anyway.
Yeah, we'll have to keep our eyes on where Elysian ends up in the rest of this, but we are going to be following TMG DK here through their run of this best of 1s. In case anybody has just arrived, TMG DK and the rest of the top seeded members in these groups are playing 3 different best of 1s against each other to decide seeding coming into the playoff round after the round of 12. So this was their first best of 1. TMG DK unfortunately ended up losing, but we'll be back after this break for their second game, which I believe is up against Half Orc Barbarians. If not them, it's going to be Omega Gaming Goobers, where we'll see the other one on the other side. But speaking of seeing things on the other side, we'll see you guys on the other side when we come back from this break.
feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ay, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hate applying my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a date with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here for game 2 of the playoffs seed decider. I'm still Brady, that's still Sater. We're still here in the Vanquisher League, deciding who's going to be first, second, third, and fourth seed coming into the second round of playoffs. Like I said earlier, we're following TMG DK's journey through these 3 different best of ones. We've already seen them lose one best of one. We're hoping to see them make a quick jump back here in game number 2.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see a little bit better drafting as well. I feel like that Poppy is just, it's a sore thumb in both of our minds, and the fact that it should not have been allowed to go all the way to the point where it was. Poppy has been a staple in League of Legends as one of the best counter champions in multiple roles, and it could have fit in any of them. Also, that Mordekaiser, the more I think about it, I never saw it.
The Mordekaiser didn't have a ton of value, and neither did the Ambessa, honestly. That was truly a top top lane island game. Neither of them had like a ton of impact or a ton of influence throughout the map. It was just, they kind of were just passengers for the victory or defeat that they ended up having.
Yeah, like the Mordekaiser should have been at least bullied a little bit pre-6. Didn't see much happening up there. Then the Ambessa, we never saw it once try to land an ult onto a Tristana, try and change things up.
No, I think we did see that maybe once, but just not enough
maybe
to
once
really...
when Ambessa is meant to be permanently in your face.
Yeah, not enough to really value the pick. So we're gonna have a lot of, I think a little bit more strongly critique. A little bit more strong critique to come into this second game's draft, because it's not a fearless match. It's not any sort of like best of 3, best of 5 against a team. You're playing against totally new opponents who have entirely different draft prep, an entirely different style of draft. So how are you going to adjust? Are you going to pick a lot of the same champions? Are you going to try and play to a similar kind of win condition? What is the optimal game plan for you coming into the second game?
The optimal game plan is to take priority picks and not let them slip through your fingers like you did previously.
That would be helpful. Yeah, I do think the Aurora that was left up was a good pick. It's something that we've seen FYS have a lot of success on throughout the year. We haven't seen a ton of success for him. We didn't see a ton of success for him in that game, but also it feels like that match wasn't entirely about the mid lane. It was very much the volatile bottom lanes and the junglers playing a lot of attention or playing a lot of time down there in the bottom side.
Yeah, there is going to be a world, Brady, where we'll see that Aurora again and it will pop off, but I just don't feel like tonight's tonight. It just didn't feel hot coming out the gate. It's a matchup that historically is quite good for the Aurora. You should be able to bully Ahri quite well, and it just didn't seem to hit the mark. Also, getting caught on those sides a lot. There was a lot of that going on, and I think we need to get away from that. We need to be looking at this in a much different way and going, we need FYS to be on the map, moving around and making sure that no matter where they go, they have an impact.
Maybe
it
FYS
might not be the option either. Maybe, but I just maybe Talia. Maybe just go with what I think is the best champion in the game in the mid lane. Just go for a Talia. I think it is incredibly strong. It can do more than what you think it can do, and it just looks great in any comp. There's not a single comp where you go, yeah, Talia's bad here. It just always seems to work. So just play it right, please.
Maybe a comp that needs a little bit more damage out of the mid lane, but we should be getting ready to get into draft here. And I think just about a minute or so I heard from our producer, but you already mentioned the Talia. Are there any other like power picks in the mid lane that you're really hoping to see?
I'm not seeing a lot of Syndra in Titan. Maybe it's just an NA thing and it's more of an EU pick, but I would like to see a couple more mid laners start to look at the Syndra, because it's just a very easy press this button and kill stuff. She's never a bad one.
Consistently good enough, but not super impressive, I think, is the real big deal for a lot of the players out here. There are other champions like the Ari and Talia that we've already mentioned, like that Aurora, that just kind of do what she wants to do, but better. Even Orianna, if you want like a team fight god, you have other options. I wouldn't hate the Syndra, but I think I'd like to see more Orianna without the Nocturne, because Orianna is still good. I think we've just kind of forgotten how to play her without Nocturne.
The fact that we're seeing Zyra and Lulu banned is starting to worry me already. That TMGD are going to go back to like something strange here.
Orianna is banned away against LL Cool J's, but yeah, there's the Zyra and the Aurora banned away that we were expecting to see in game 1. We'll see it here in game number 2. The Lulu banned away. No, surely not first pick.
You could go for like a very, very safe Braum, and there's a Syndra at least. That's one of the picks I wanted. But I'm just thinking like Braum right now, because the Lulu's there, the Zyra's gone. So like both those champions are gone. Yeah, Ashe Braum is a decent one, but like even if you go for a carry style with the Braum, they're gonna go Aurelion Sol into Syndra is not terrible. You go Splinters versus Stars, it's fine. I don't want to talk about that too much because one flies away and the other one throws balls at it.
It's a boring stack matchup. They're going to stack against each other. That's kind of how it is. We are going to see the Vi again, but now on the other side. So TMG, what's your pick in the jungle now? Looking down the barrel of this Vi, maybe it's a Poppy angle. You can catch the Aurelion Sol out of his W. You can stop Vi out of Q, but it's actually the Zac. Something we mentioned we weren't seeing a lot of last game is now going to make its way out of the Rift.
Yeah, there's reasons why Zac is going to fallen out of favor, as it's going to getting outstyled.
Blind Kog'Maw with Lulu banned? That's bold. That's a bold pick for TMGDK. That is a correct pick as well, as we're hearing from our producers. It's going to be Nico as well for HOB. So most likely a Nico support, I have to imagine, since the Aurelion Sol is already picked. It could be something like Nico top, I guess, for Sir Raven.
I'm looking for like the red lucid ball that bounces through, so you know you're dreaming. The Fallout series, but there seems to be no ball.
Yeah, this is real life.
I have no idea how to explain what I'm seeing right now. Like the Braum is starting to make more sense to me now. Well, at this stage,
I'm surprised to see HOB ban away the Camille of all things on that blue side. Or on the red side. I would have thought if they're not going to pick Braum here, it would be a good pick, because as we've seen from laners like G2, Kog'Maw Braum is a disgustingly powerful bottom lane.
Is this the player I think it is?
Okay, Set.
It is. It's fucking. Oh my god. I'm sorry for cursing, but that's Revnon. He's playing that.
Fine.
That's not.
Set in the bottom lane?
Set
you mean
ADC.
It's like a...
That's Set ADC.
I can't believe that. It is going to be Jax out there on the top side for Night Ravens. I like
He's
Jax as an isolated carry.
He's done it again, pretty. He's done it again. Remember the last time with the Mordekaiser ADC?
I remember the Mordekaiser. I do remember the Mordekaiser.
He's done it again. You know what? He actually sent me this meme. He sent me this meme.
There's no way. There's no way.
He sent me this meme last week. Or not last week. The last week that we were on with him. Where is my messages with? I'm not going to say which person it is because their DMs are crazy. But I sent it back to them.
It's an Aatrox pick, so there's no standard data care for half-orc barbarians again. This was kind of expected. It is Revnon.
Sending this to Shirogan. I need you to put this up on stream for me.
Who is the bottom lane pick here? Is it a Nico ADC? Are we going to be seeing like bottom lane AP Nico carry? Are we seeing Nico support with something like an Aatrox down there?
Sent this to me after the game where I said that I'm converting myself to only believing in these. You don't believe how bad this is, because it is absolutely... Just throw it up whatever way you want, Shirogan, because Revnon, you are my favorite and worst human I've ever met in my entire life. Like, I love you to bits. You have proven me wrong every single time you've done it. But for the love of fucking God Almighty, stop doing this to me. Please.
I'm concerned about... Our observer is currently screaming about it in our Discord chat. The double melees versus Braum. Yeah, there it is. Revnon playing Bruiser 80 carries with the Set even there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like he's a fan of the kinds of picks. As this is the proper pick order. It's Revnon on the Set, Artoad on the Nico. Again, I'm worried about the heavy melee comp versus Kog'Maw, Syndra, Jax.
I'm telling you, because this has happened, because the meme has been sent, this game's a wash. There's a storyline here. You don't get a lot of those in
hang on,
Titan.
There's two storylines. Either he succeeds and this meme is just like, it converts all of us. We all bow down to the glory that is Revnon with the bottom lane picks. Or he just totally feeds the laning phase and Kog'Maw is hyper fed by like 10 minutes in. And suddenly we're like, wait, why are we believing in Revnon? Who is this guy?
So you have a non-believer.
There's two paths here. It's just gonna be a matter of which one we go down.
I also need Golden, so someone clip this for Golden era. I need a kiss, marry, kill with all of Revnon's picks.
So what, we have Set, Mordekaiser,
No
what else
one
do
will
we
know
have?
that it's an ADC because it was a Mordekaiser. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. It was also something very, very annoying. But like Revnon is
Go
just
back in the match history and look.
yeah, it just kills me inside. It just kills me every time. Well, we'll look at the rest of the map. We'll ignore that bot side. Aatrox into the Jax. I kind of expected to see the Jax coming out from TMGD at some stage. But yeah, the Aatrox is a pick that can dominate that lane, and we have seen it before. And yeah, I think the Zac and the Jax don't really have a lot they can do together. They're kind of locked into this kind of one wants to go in, the other wants to go in, but they kind of hit at the same time. It's hard to like time it together. You can't really set it up together. But we do have a lovely look at this shopkeep that is no longer there. That boat has been launched. It is gone forever.
It's gone.
Here he is. Look at this.
There,
Look at this.
there he is.
Look at his
Revnon
skin.
on set. It's the Spirit Blossom set. It's his legendary skin.
Gotta work on that. Gotta work on that. I don't keep up to date with skins anymore because they just anger me with how much they cost.
Yeah, it's been a problem.
Also, I'm going to put this out here now that Jolly Ranchers did not live up to the hype. I'm not sure
Really?
what
You didn't
Americans have
like
decided
them?
is sour. It's not sour. I've been told it's corn syrup, which probably explains things. Thank you, producer, for giving us that lovely bit of information. But do they realize that that's a Nico? Do they?
I mean, one of them has to be the Nico.
They're not terrible, but they're not sour.
In game 2, it was the Xin Zhao bottom lane, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. And that hurt my feelings too. See, the other thing about Set is he has such high health regen.
Yeah, and especially combined with what's most likely second wind and the Doran shield, it's going to be very difficult to push him out of lane. But it should also be difficult for him to get CS. I'm expecting it to be difficult for him to get CS at the very least. And I think if Homura and Crushing Rock can't pressure out this lane, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, but so far Revnon's doing quite well. Just punching for free, not really too scared.
Once we see level 2, that should be where things change.
A little bit, because you have the spittle that'll come out from Kog'Maw, which will slow them down just a little bit on the skates.
The extra attack range as well to proc those stuns is a really big deal for Kog'Maw. Level 1, you're kind of weak. Level 2,
W already,
especially with
though.
Braum, I've seen some Kog'Maws take Q first, just for the extra
and they're wrong.
Trading damage. It's not unhelpful. It's there.
I suppose. Night Raven's decent damage here. I love seeing Jackson just jump in for a trade.
Yeah, your passive does incentivize you to go for. Yeah, the passive incentivizes you to play for longer, but you can short trade. Just get a little auto cancel reset, just W bop, take a chunk of damage and walk away. I mean, isn't it the Baus who runs phase rush on Jax for a similar idea?
He likes Scorch, that's why.
Yeah, I'm gonna be real. I still hate Scorch. I'm gonna be a Scorch hater until the runes get reworked again and Scorch disappears.
Nah, bring back Thunderlord's Decree. That shit. Oh,
don't remind me that is a rune that existed. I don't want to think about that one.
10-man Thunderlord's Decree games. That was it. Oh no, FYS, that's a lot of damage you're going to take back off that one if you don't finish it.
Yeah, he isn't going to be able to walk away. Both the mid laners very low, but FYS, he's going to walk away with control of the lane currently. I'm just looking at the match history to see what happened in the last game. We had Revnon playing the Set bottom lane versus a Cho'Gath Senna from OMG. That ended up being a half-orc Barbarians victory. So they're already up 1-0 in this current best-of-1 scuffle we have. But this will be Remnon's second game on the set bottom lane in as many games today.
Yeah, Revnon. I'm gonna have words with you if you make it to a best of 5 because you have to run out of top lanes because you have a top laner as well.
I
Like-
mean, yeah, because there's now 3 people vying for the top lane champions instead of just the normal 2.
I just start taking them into the jungle. Take the Darius into the jungle, and then that's another one gone. Ban 3 of them. Make sure that Mordekaiser, Jin Zhao, and Set are gone. Take a Darius.
That's when Revnon
take
just
a
starts
Tam
picking.
Kench, Aatrox,
That's when
Jack,
Revnon
take
just
them
starts
all.
picking mages.
That would make more sense to me.
Oh yeah,
That's
sure.
fine.
As LL Cool J is going to have to use that Astral Flight. The stun is not going to connect from the Syndra caught on that wall, so it didn't have the range. But a very slow game here compared to game 1. That was a lot more about the early game action, the early game blood. As I can't believe my eyes, Crushing Rock is in a CS deficit versus the set bottom lane.
Yeah, so I'm going to say this one nice and clear for Auntie in the background. Do you believe in it now? I'm telling you, Revnon is the anomaly to League of Legends.
FYS,
All the
FYS in
rules.
trouble. That just burned down LL Cool J's solo first of blood on the Aurelian Soul.
Did you see that
Oh,
aura
dear.
coming from Revnon? Did you see the aura? FYS saw the set and went, nope, I'm not flashing this. I'm going to die regardless. Pure aura.
You cannot contribute that one to Revnon. He did
Revnon
literally
aura.
nothing.
It was
did
the walk.
nothing
It was
there.
the menacing walk. You could
Was
almost
he
hear
even
the boss
in
baby
vision
music.
for most of that?
Absolutely cracked aura. Not even taking damage. Look, having a great time down here. You know what? I'm just going to go learn set ADC. I'm doing it.
I mean, look, if you could put set Mordekaisers into your bottom lane pool, more power to you. But I just need to remind everyone at home that it's similar to how when you watch
run
the
by
LC,
professionals, you should not try
Yeah.
this at home.
when you watch the LCK and you see Carrier pick something that's really cool and unique, like you see him first time at least support in the LCK. You just have to remember that not only you are not Carrier, your solo queue teams are not T1. So in this case, you are not Revnon. Your solo queue team is not half-orc barbarians. Your team is not ready for it. You're not ready for it. The enemy team will take advantage of that every single time.
Do you think Toad freaks out every single time they're in lane with Revnon?
I have to assume that it's like after a certain amount of time you get used to it, kind of like Stockholm syndrome, where it's just like it becomes your regular day to day. So it's just
with the emotions, the cartoon.
Inside Out.
It's like that, but loads of panic buttons, and they're all pressing panic buttons whenever Toad is in lane with Revnon. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Why doesn't it have range? And they're just hitting all the buttons. And it somehow works.
Divine is going to pick up that first grub, so there will not be a feat taken from this first spawn. There's a potential fight here as TMG is going to grab that one as well. Divine is going to get engaged on. Night Ravens does quite a bit of damage. Floop's now in with that elastic slingshot, and FYS gets the revenge, but Floop's now in trouble as the World Ender popped by Sir Raven. Does quite a bit of damage on the Aatrox, but not a ton just yet. Night Ravens looking to continue that consistent fight. Fleet Footwork proc to get a little bit of healing out, but it just ends up being a 1-for-1 jungler taken out. Or 1-for-0 jungler taken out.
Yeah, a little bit of a strange contest there coming out from HOB. Wasn't really needed as Revnon just doing aura things. Don't worry about that too much.
That was a great catch by Homura, though. I didn't even think about the fact that you could block that with stand behind Braum.
I block anything.
It's a wind. You have to remind myself that's a wind wall. It blocks just like wind wall. Revnon tries to go for an engage. Now potentially in trouble. Has that haymaker though. Does quite a bit of damage back. Crushing Rock low on mana. I mean, means that he can't actually follow up on the engager. Revnon's just going to continue to sustain. I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. Someone check him PC. This is not normal gaming.
There's something going on here because there's no way you're just winning this, like outright, just winning this.
Someone check him PC. This is not normal gaming.
I love it. Last time I casted Revnon, I was just screaming angry things the whole time. This time, I'm just used to it.
You're just in awe of the Chad aura that he brings to a draft.
I can literally hear Graduation by Kanye just in my ears, carrying me through.
See
Gospel
Sir
music.
Raven use a lot of those cues. Pops the Grandmaster's Might. It's just going to look for the brawl here. Sir Ravens has the flash, but Night Ravens has it as well. One more auto will finish it off, and the Leap Strike to get the heck out of dodge. Night Ravens with the solo.
Yeah, and that's what Jax likes to do. Suddenly just hits level 6 and then starts to do a lot of damage, and then it's like, oh, just keep scaling. Only have boots. That's fine by me, and
So
kills.
just, he only has tier 2s, and he just wins that 1v1. Insane.
That's how things work when you're a Jax main. Yeah, you just start doing damage because level 6 spike, keck.
Now I'm gonna have to harken you back for this one. Do you remember the patch where Jax got tank stats buffed on his ulti, as it's gonna be a kill in the mid lane picked up by Floops and FYS? We'll see if we can get a replay on that. But harken you back, the base damage from Jax got buffed in the early, the mid, and the late game, and I said, and I quote, "Tank Jax will be good. His base damages are good." I have yet to see it, but I know it exists. I know it can happen.
There's always a chance it could happen. I just think that there's other things that are a little bit
Yeah, there we go. LL Cool J used that Astra Flight in and just got eaten alive for it.
We just need to see more AP Jaxes. The Bouse is probably correct in his estimations of how Jax should work. I don't usually trust him, but for this one I will.
The fact that you trust him makes me concerned, as we're going to see a little
I'm
stuff
from
on this
EU. I
offline
have to. He's one of ours.
I mean, you don't have to. There are plenty of people from EU who don't like him.
Not really. Maybe just not Targamas. There's a small bit of beef there.
But hey, Targamas can, lord over his head that he took a game off HLE, so, he's got that going for him.
Yeah, but Bouse is still just a better player. Honestly, Targamas is absolutely terrible.
All in the
other
mid
side,
lane, FYS forced to flash away from that cease and desist. LL Cool J's with the Astra Flight does quite a bit of damage. Now Scuffle in the bottom lane. Revnon has that haymaker into the showstopper. Crushing Rock in trouble. Ignite taking away. He's on 1 HP. He will get locked down. Toad manages to find the kill. In the meantime, mid lane trades down 1-for-1 between the junglers and the mid laners. Because it looks like we're going to try and set up a replay for that on the bottom side of your screen, but Hamura, in the meantime, is most likely going to get dove. We keep our eye on it, but he's going to be able to walk away. But here's the replay of what happened in the mid lane after FYS got ganked.
Yeah, so they seem to want to stick around and keep going for this one, but FYS, a little bit greedy here by the looks of things, as he continues to stay for the wave. Floop, yeah, it's just greed. Floop manages to get back into this one, but a good flash, manages to trade, though. That's the most important. Getting that trade back keeps them in.
Mm-hmm. It's important to remember that whenever Syndra hits you with that little combo, she gets 2 hits. That's an extra stack on that passive. We'll have to keep our eye on how many Splinters of Wrath she actually currently has, as those abilities will upgrade over time up until eventually you hit that 120 mark. You get that miniature Rabadon's passive. You get 20% extra AP. You really start to unlock Syndra's one-shot capabilities, as it's another single grub take from Divine and immediately walked away. I just heard from our producer, 55 stacks for FYS, so approaching the second upgrade of that 60 barrier.
And the great thing about LL Cool J's champion, Aurelion Sol, is you'll see beside his actual health bar when Disguise Ascend is available, but it will not start stacking until after you hit level 6, so you can't pre-stack it and immediately get the upgraded version. You have to get the level 6 first. It's a little bit harder.
Imagine as a gank from Toad in onto FYS, the Unleashed Power just does not do enough damage, and LL Cool J will find the kill with the less bounce, though. Floop's trying to get the trade back, but LL Cool J is just going to fly away. Elastic Slingshot, it's not in range. He can't get the punches down. Cool Jace has the health potion on. He's trying to escape. Floops doesn't have flash. Cool Jace has the ulti as well. Disguise Ascend, but it's not in time. Floops is going to lock that one down.
Yeah, so a bit of a trade back, in TMGD in a much better position than what we saw previously out from them in the last game. But Sir Raven might be in a little bit of trouble, as Night Ravens getting the better of them in this one. It's a Raven off.
Yeah, it's a Raven off. There's that World Ender. A lot of healing coming through, but it's just not going to be enough. Homura, some excellent tanking. Gets the Leap Strike in for the team, and the Void Grubs will make sure that there's no trade back. There was what looks like a dive on the bottom side of the map that we'll be seeing in just a second, but an excellently executed dive from TMG on the top side.
Yeah, the Ravenoff was an interesting one, as we see down here. Revnon and the rest of the squad rolling up to bully the puppy.
You can't abandon a Kog'Maw. You can't abandon a Kog'Maw like this.
It's a puppy. You're bullying a puppy.
I think this is something that we mentioned the last time, either that we were on broadcast or that we saw TMGD on broadcast, was Homura likes to roam around a lot, likes to play these roaming champions. But when you have something like a Kog'Maw, you have to play for your bottom lane. If your Kog'Maw is getting behind, he's just not going to do anything when you hit that mid game.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be a tough position. We saw this before with TMG, though, same with the misfortune that there was somehow a way for Crushing Rock to get back in. But the invade is a bit egregious and Divine.
A bit
You don't
bold.
really need to do that.
Now he
You're
might
in
be
a
in
good
trouble
position.
for
Now
it.
you're not.
Vault Breaker to try and escape. That Braum passive is stacking up. There comes the stun in from FYS as well. The Blast Cone just used to make sure the Divine stays down. Some nice 100 Sky Procs to stay alive. Has that Season Assist as well. Is really trying to make this happen for the squad. But Floops will eventually lock it down. And the rest of the team just a little too far away. Maybe to take advantage. Choach wants to flash in. They're going to manage to find FYS. I spoke too soon. And I stun from Revenon. Shut down over to the set. Give him some more. No, Toad wants the double kill.
Aura diff. Doesn't matter. Aura is all that is needed for Revnon in this game. And farming Aura at this stage is just... They just can't stop the set. But it is still an interesting case to see how far ahead the set is in terms
This
of
is what
just
happens when
on
you
the map.
abandon your bottom lane. It means that Revnon and Toad were unpressured throughout this early game, and Revnon just gets to farm up. They get to take turrets. They get to take CS, and this is how you end up with a melee, even in CS versus a Kog'Maw Braum lane. That's egregious.
Yeah, I think this is one of those cases where you want to see the Alistair just appear.
I wouldn't mind an Alistair here.
Yeah, like just pick something that can absolutely send it. And I've seen a lot of Alistairs lately, and they've really started to rise in their ranks in solo queue especially. I'm expecting to see a lot more of it come out very, very soon.
Whirlender, pots by Sir Raven, Grandmaster's Might from Night Ravens as well. Maybe looking to just complete a dive, but with Conqueror stacked, I think a little bit too risky. -1 on the cannon, but Sir Raven will keep his life.
Keeping your life's the more important part here, you know?
I mean, you're down
that
45.
minus aura LPL TikTok on the cannons. It was a great TikTok. Absolutely.
Yeah, LPL edit
game.
About stacked editor for the LPL TikTok. If you guys haven't seen any of those, look up the LPL on TikTok. Their editor just farms clips.
Creates memories.
Creates moments, truly. An icon of our generation. I'm assuming it's someone from our generation at the very least, as I don't think someone who's older could really do that.
It is very Gen Z coded, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, a crazy amount of Gen Z code.
Oh, right, I forget you're older, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not a boomer. I'm not a boomer. Let's get that out of there.
Not a boomer per se, as Toad gets the boom with the Blast Cone, is going to be able to escape. Floops tries to get the Let's Bounce, but just out of range. Season Desist charged up from Divine, gets that Vault Breaker in, but not managing to find much else. Crushing Rock gets Cease and Desisted on, but Divine doesn't have a lot of follow-up. LL Cool J still a little far away, but where's the damage? They just can't kill off the Vi. Eventually, we'll finally lock her down, but it's 1-for-1 as Night Ravens does die on the other side of the fight. Now Sir Ravens has a bit extra room to start launching those Qs as LL Cool J tries to get the dash and is going to get stunned up. Gets that black hole off, though, so every member of TMGDK forced to reposition, forced to run away as FBIS will make the trade happen. It's 1-for-1 as Homura will go down. And now Floops and FYS, you got to navigate your way out of this one. You have to find your way home. You are lost little dogs, and it doesn't look like HOV are going to try and chase you down.
Yeah, it's a little bit wild that the game is going the way it is and Revnon surviving still somehow. It's just getting
not just surviving,
crazier.
Has he died yet? I don't think he's died yet.
No, Revnon has been unkillable and is slowly becoming Demon King.
He's in his own lane. He's basking. He's moisturized.
Yeah. I'm starting to genuinely worry that Revnon does know something about League of Legends that we don't. Like
as I said,
your dad?
Someone check him PC. This is not normal gaming.
Tryndamere is literally Revnon's father. Like, my dad owns Riot. Like, I'm here to win Titan. Like,
I thought you were talking about Tryndamere the champion for the second. I was just expecting that eventually Revnon will pick Tryndamere in the bottom lane. That's got to be the game 5 game decider 5th pick. What's your pick, Revnon? Lock me Tryndamere. Oh, don't make me think about
something crazy like.
I don't want to think about Zillion in any lifetime, honestly. I dislike that champion extremely. And speaking of being disliked, Night Ravens is the target of a lot of hatred here. As gonna pop that Grandmaster's Might. Will get very tanky. Flashes in for the stun on Toad, and with Floops here, suddenly a little bit more dangerous to trade. Night Ravens just shuts down the Nico. Riftail just popped. It should just be able to lock down this turret, but it's not going to get much else after the fact. And I think we still don't even have upgraded boots. Nobody's taken 3 objectives yet.
Yeah, there's still a lot to do. On the map, it is.
Oh,
It
let's
is
be fair.
falling
No
very,
one's
very
even taken
soon.
two. No, someone has taken two objectives. Sorry, Half-Orc Barbarian have taken two objectives. They had the dragon and the Rift Herald, but with the grubs getting split the way they did, no objectives there.
Yeah, like we have Drake coming up in a minute 20, and that should be both teams' like aim is to get
Revnon,
objectives.
he's popped the ghost, has to use it early, minus some aura points for that, as a little bit cowardly to run away from a fight like that with your team being near enough by, I think, to take advantage, but he will just get the recall off, get that item purchase. He's 2 items at 20 minutes on a melee bottom laner. How?
I can't explain it in any way that makes sense to anyone.
But that's literally your job. That's why you're here. I'm the person who shouts at the things. You're the explainer.
There's literally a game design person that is screaming somewhere that this does not make sense. And you know they're right.
It does not compute.
It's... How do I explain this? A lot of League is basically rock, paper, scissors. Revnon is Spock.
I thought you were going to say gun, but I get where you're coming from with Spock. You're referencing a bad TV show, and that's okay. You're allowed to.
There's nothing wrong with Big Bang Theory.
There's a lot of things wrong with Big Bang Theory, but we can talk about that later, as it is going to be the dragon started up here for Half-Orc Barbarians. They're just going to start locking it down. They just want to get this objective over and done with. Revnon on the side, perfectly on vision, whereas the rest of the members are just going to lock down the objective. Coming in, though, comes Floops and smites that one out of the sky. Toad is going to get the engage, though, and now Crushing Rock the one in trouble, as Revnon has that flank angle as well. The skies descend, and a massive star falls on the members of TMG, and they're going to start falling down. A double kill over to Revnon. Night Ravens on the run. Floop's trying to get a trade back onto Toad, as Divine is just going to take FYS out of the fight. Yeah, you stole the dragon, but you're going to lose everything in exchange.
Yeah, so Revnon just once again starts taking over certain parts of these fights, and it's a lot of zone control. Something that I didn't see previously from Revnon. It was just kind of like Revnon runs in, kills something, leaves. The way that they're kind of scared of Revnon at this stage is actually more terrifying than anything else for me.
He's a 2-item set. You have to be afraid of him. Your Kog'Maw doesn't have a Blade of the Rune King. He went Ginsu's first. You have nobody who does damage to this guy.
That's a different argument that we're not going to have right now. But yeah, it just seems like there's something missing here, and I don't know how to explain it. It's
speaking of something being missing, Vision is missing for Team GDK. Revnon is going to get a ton of damage off of that Haymaker, forced to use that flash defensively, manages to sidestep the stun, and I think it might walk out of here. Elastic Slingshot sidestepped by Revnon. He should eventually fall here, but the Haymaker will do even more damage, and they'll take a Zac passive out of it, giving that shutdown gold over to the Zac and not to the Kog'Maw. Clone from Toad is not going to find a ton of value. FYS will pick that one up, and this poor Kog'Maw is starving in the streets. Somebody give him something to eat.
Yeah. Kog'Maw needs... I think that's a Wit's End being built as well, which I like for the tenacity. That's great. But I still think you need a Bork. I think you need lifesteal. I think you need actual damage.
Who does damage to Aatrox's Vi set in this composition? Night Ravens can, sure, but he's not going to stay alive forever in a team fight.
FYS.
Who does damage when he's done? If FYS is not bursting LL Cool J, nobody's hitting that guy.
Yeah, there's a lot missing in this one. Let's be as fair as possible here. They need a little bit more miracle work than what we're currently seeing, and the miracle is Revnon. Just put Revnon on TMGD.
To be fair, Kog'Maw does have inbuilt percentage health max damage. He does do, you know, a chunk of damage with his W's, but the Blade of the Rune King really is what unlocks him as Night Ravens. I don't think you're winning this aura off, especially when the rest of the members come through and just start to decide that you're going down. A huge Haymaker into those couple of punches means Revnon is going to be able to pick that one up.
Yeah, so you may have been winning against the other top laner, but we have a second one.
You may have won against our top laner, but have you tried a second top laner?
It's like the top laner that you brought from home versus the McDonald's. It's just not the same. It's just not the same.
I was thinking more second breakfast, but yeah, I guess that works too.
As an Irishman, we already have that.
You have 11sies.
Hobbits are basically just Irish people.
It's one of it's one of the best things I've heard all day, truly.
We are like that's. You have to remember that's a British writer, and he just went to Ireland one time and went. Everyone here just eats the whole time.
They eat, they
Lit.
sleep, they have fun. I'm gonna make a race out of this.
Yeah, and that's us. That's the Irish in kind of a nutshell. We just dance around a lot and live in holes.
You know what? Good for you. I'm glad you do.
It's great. It just
Is FYS in trouble here on the side
don't
lane.
count
Toad and
them over the
Revnon on the
dance.
way.
Stay
I
out of
don't
this,
think
Rogan.
FYS is going to get much out of this exchange. Stunned up. Is going to get the Unleash power off. Has the execute. Will at least make it a 1-for-1. As there's that Cinder button. But now, hey, look who's left alone in the mid lane again. Crushing Rock now in a 2v2 as Homura is here. But I think just a little too late. Has to flash away. Sir Ravens has that passive stacking up on him now. And Crushing Rock has the lethal tempo. 2 items. This Kog'Maw is now stacked. But you walked up too close to the Aatrox and he will lock you down. Floops is going to get a trade back onto Divine and make it a 1-for-1 at least. But now the rest of the members of TMG have to start running away as Repidon is coming and he is dangerous. Everyone from Half-Orc Barbarians is such a scary threat on this squad.
yeah, it's a good step away, and they buy themselves some time. They get some kills. They trade back and forth, but
Crushing Rock still didn't get a kill. He's got one.
yeah,
He's got the
Kog'Maw's not
second least
getting-
on his team.
They're not letting the Kog'Maw cook, and it's probably the champion that has the most chef ability in this game, and that's where my
needs to
worry
eat.
is.
He's so hungry. Look at him.
Yeah, it's a very unfortunate one. Wit's End is completed. That's good, right?
Yeah, but Revenant also now has the Force of Nature, which the passive reads, you get more magic resist after you take a bunch of magic damage. And hey, what is this Kog'Maw doing a lot of? Magic damage. What's his percentage max health scaling damage in? Magic damage. It's not going to get any easier for him
Remember the
until that
other
Blade of
part
the
of
Rune
it,
King.
where it's like you get bonus tenacity, but
You go faster
Yeah,
too.
but they have more CC than you have tenacity. Like there's going to be multiple abilities hitting you. It's still
It's impossible
the
to
worst
chain
case
him
scenario.
though. As Revnon is getting engaged on. He's got pretty healthy though, so he's not too worried. Showstopper into the back line. Doesn't manage to find the stun, but will pull FYS in. A huge haymaker down. Gets a ton of damage in, but now he's a little bit low. Toad is going to get engaged in with that Pop Blossom, but there's not a ton of follow-up. Crushing Rock actually untouched for a lot of this fight. Is going to take a little bit of black hole damage, but that's really it. And finally, TMG DK have woken up, and they've won a team fight.
A team fight indeed. As I managed to turn this back around, let's see how this one actually started off. As a decent engage turns into a good turnaround here for the Orcs, but a good jump in from Floops gets the double knock. Very, very nicely done. Layered onto the Braum. Everything's good. Revnon, damage-wise, gets a lot done, but FYS with the return. Toad manages to get a good ult off, but only catches Crushing Rock, who now free fire, stands back. It's all pretty easy from that point on, as they didn't actually finish the Kog'Maw, and if you don't finish it, it's going to eat you up.
Yeah, and I think a big deal in that fight, a very small thing that happened, but what ended up being a large deal, was Revnon getting the pullback onto FYS instead of getting the stun onto Homura and Crushing Rock would have drastically changed that fight. Because yeah, the Kog'Maw has tenacity and it's harder to lock him down, but you can still stun the guy, you can still displace him, and if you get him into the middle of your team, he's not going to be getting anything done.
Yeah. Right now, what do you do as HOB? Because you've proven that you have the aura to get people to step away. You can set up these fights pretty nicely at this stage, and you have plenty of opportunities to take things over. But it seems that last kill, that last moment, that last bit of hope to be crushed from TMGD is staying alive. And every single time they have one person left alive, you're not getting that objective. They're happy enough with that.
Yeah, I also want to call out another one of the best of ones has finished. Elysian have beaten OMG, so Elysian currently 2-0 are potentially set up to take first seed here if they win their next matchup, which will be up against the team we're seeing here, Half-Orc Barbarians, as TMGDK, depending on the result of this game, obviously have a chance to not go home in that 4th seed spot up against OMG.
Yeah, still a lot to play for. This game still has a lot of time left in it. We could be looking at a 40-minute banger here, but
Sky's
I am a
Descent.
little
They're
bit
just looking for the
scared
pick
that
on a
someone's
Night
dead.
Ravens. They're going to eventually pick him up. It's going to take a while, but Night Ravens will eventually fall. But with 2 members down and with a big ulti used, TMG DK are going to take advantage of that and take mid lane turret at the very least.
Get a mid lane turret, yeah. There's some setup available for them as well if they want to try and creep into that jungle and try look towards a Baron to try and get some information down on this, because it's so heavily controlled right now by HOB. So yeah, they're going to move over, they're going to clear out some of those wards. TMGD will have a chance to grab some of it. But there's also a fear of them overstaying there. I saw all the pings there, did you? They're terrified of sticking around for this. That's
it's the aura. They're so scared.
At some point, the aura has to turn off.
No. He's aura maxing. It never turns off. Look at that gold lead in bottom lane. Look at that gold lead in bottom lane and tell me that he's not aura maxing. 3,000 gold above a Kog'Maw. That's insane for a solo lane, for a bottom laner melee to be up gold versus a Kog'Maw, let alone this much.
There is some terms like mogging that could be used here. Like it is just, there's going to be so many compilations of Revnon walking down the lane. I can just see it in the Vanquisher chat. Like, I do love to see Revnon play this though, and it is interesting when people bring in unique styles that we don't see a lot of. So I'm excited to see what Revnon can continue to do with this, especially since the playoffs run is looking good. But there has to be a team that can shut this down somewhere.
I think the team that's going to be able to shut it down is actually just the concept of a best of 5, because like you said, eventually Revnon will run out of picks as Raven battle here on the bottom side, but Revnon is here. The Aura Master has arrived. As Night Ravens actually just does not care about him and is looking to train into some Ravens, but that Sundered Sky proc will keep the Aatrox alive. That World Ender healing coming in so huge as now Night Ravens. You beat one top laner, yes, but you have to beat the second, as it is going to be picked onto Toad at the very least on the other side of the map, as he's got a Sundered Sky proc back. You can't underestimate this Jax, as Revnon has that big haymaker stacked up, doesn't manage to get the one shot onto FYS, and will eventually die here as Night Ravens will turn that one around thanks to the help of the squad.
Yeah, the squad managed to win on the other side of things, so that just lets them turn that one straight back around, and some great work there. And from this point, they have to be able to pick up something big to set themselves up to try and win this one. Like, yeah, that's a nice catch coming through onto Toad there, through Zhonya's and everything, and no one able to respond. Great timings.
Hello, that's a potential Baron start. TP in from Night Ravens. Doesn't have the flash ulti up in just about a second here. But the rest of the members of HOB are not full SM Orc face. They realize that taking Baron in front of the enemy team is not a great call. So they will just walk away. I also want to point out, big item pickup from Night Raven. The Abyssal Mask actually is just a massive 5-head pick into this comp. You have magic damage from Braum, magic damage from Kog'Maw, magic damage from Zac, magic damage from Syndra, and Jax does his own magic damage on the ulti passive and on the W procs. This is a great item to pick up for him.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot available in terms of spiciness if they can land the CC and slows, but if they're stuck off in a side lane, there's not going to be much they can do in terms of
the 3K, 2K, okay. Divine kept out of the pit, flashes in, but doesn't get there in time. Smite through from Floops, and now with the Mountain Soul that has slowly been picked up, it's a 4-man Nico ulti, but do you have the damage? Revnon is going to get the Haymaker in, but do you have anything left in the tank? It's Caution Rock, knocking everyone down on the Kog'Maw. Again, untouched in the team fight. They forgot that he's a threat. They forgot that Kog'Maw can eat you for breakfast.
Yeah, they keep turning these fights, and now that's soul acquired. TMGD are playing to a win condition. They keep this up. This game should be theirs. They're going to go straight towards that Baron. They're setting themselves up really nicely here to get back into this one.
Mm-hmm. So we were talking earlier
about... LL do anything?
We were talking earlier about how does this TMG comp kill the front line? They have a Kog'Maw who at the time was very far behind, was struggling to find relevance in the game, but now I have a second question for you. Who kills a Terminus Kog'Maw who's got a Mountain Soul and a Wit's End? How does he die?
LL Cool J's.
You pray that Rylai's is just that good of an item.
Just if there's an opportunity for the Aurelion Sol to land the Sky's Descent onto the Kog'Maw, and they have the Vi there, there's no McHale's to save the Kog'Maw from that. That's where you get back in. That's it.
You have a Knight's Vow, a Locket, and a Dream.
Pretty much. It's pretty much that. That's it. Like, you have to find a way to break into this soon as well, because You don't have range anymore. You don't have an ADC. This is why ADCs are so good. You can do damage from a distance, and you don't have that anymore with the set. So, as much as I do love seeing it, the game's going a little bit too long for this.
Yeah, this is where we start to see the weakness of these Revenon picks. Like, yeah, you had a great laning phase, you bullied out the Kog'Maw, fantastic, but you don't have any sort of like Tristana in the mid lane or Kindred in the jungle. You don't have that ranged physical damage anymore. And other teams will take advantage of that as Floops is going to fly in with that elastic slingshot. Disguise Descend does manage to catch the crushing rock. He's getting knocked up, but they just don't have the damage. They'll finally be able to knock him down thanks to the showstopper from Revenon, who's got a big haymaker charged up, but it's not off cooldown just yet. A huge punch! Triple kill to Revenon! As soon as I doubt him, he shuts up the non-believers!
I feel like if I flame Revnon, he wins, and if I praise him, he loses. So from now on, I'm not going to talk about Revnon, but this fight could not have went better for them. I was talking about, oh, how did they win? If they can get this guy's ascend on Kog'Maw, they do. Kog'Maw manages to escape from it. Endyvine tries to catch on, doesn't quite get it, but then Sir Raven jumps in, gets stunned. They're trying everything. Revnon goes, fine, I'll do it myself. Ults in. Look at the setup as well for this after. Steps out. Okay, cool. I'll just kill 2 immediately. And then Zach trying to re-enter a fight after seeing 2 of his teammates get one shot.
And that's the game. That's how this one ends. Half-Orc Barbarians clutch victory from the jaws of defeat. Take TMG DK down and set themselves up for a grudge match versus Elysian.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back into Vanquisher chat after this and see what they're going to be saying in there. Also, Auntie, I told you. I told you. Revnon is disgusting. I told you.
I have been converted. I have seen the light that is Revnon's bottom lane champion pool. He has forgiven my doubts in the Twitch chat, and I am so appreciative of him as... What a performance from HOB. Unfortunate that TMGDK end up taking the brunt end of it, but look at the damage charts. That's how you play set.
Literally off the charts. Off the chart. It finally fits in, but it's just... Like, I'm fed up at not being a believer. That's the best way to put it. I'm fed up at not being a believer in Revnon. I have to at this stage.
Yeah, we've been converted. He's converted the broadcast. We are Revnon. We're Revnon truthers now. We have to believe in him.
Yeah, like, but there was a moment there where like all hope lifted for TMGD, and that's what we kind of should be talking about, is the fact that TMGD just didn't quite get it over the mark after they had an amazing kind of point in the game where they should have.
And again, I think if there had just been a little bit more focus on the Kog'Maw in the early game, if you had just allowed him to not get as far behind, don't let Revenon play his game in the early game, maybe that mid game goes a little bit differently. Your Kog'Maw gets that little bit of extra damage. He can start winning that team fight just that little bit sooner, and he can just have that little bit more impact as you drafted a hyper carry and you didn't play around him. It's just kind of what happens in comps like this.
Yeah, it fell apart for them at the worst moments, and I feel like TMGD, this is their last chance to get a win into this one, and they're going up against a team that I believe won. They're
currently
now as well.
Yeah, both of these teams that are playing right now are going to be 0-2, so this will decide indisputably the seeding. We will have a 1, 2, 3, and a 4. No ties resolved by head-to-heads, none of that shenanigans. It's just going to be, will TMGDK take 3rd seed or 4th seed, and will Elysian take 1st seed or 2nd seed? That's the matter of this next best of 1. We're going to be catching the TMGDK side of that when we come back from this break. So hopefully we'll see you guys when we're back from that break. Welcome back, everybody. We are jumping in here for our final game of the night. It's TMG DK. It's the team you know and love against their final opponent here, OMG. And unfortunately for TMG DK, they just haven't managed to find a ton of success. They've looked at some bright spots. They've had moments of like hope here and there, but they just haven't managed to have it all come together all at the same time.
They haven't had an opportunity for one person to break out from the mid game and be the carry for them. There's not one player that's had the opportunity to play the game to their strengths, and that's starting to eat them alive. They're starting to get taken out by that, and they need to kind of rally around each other right now, find one that's going to work for them, and just absolutely drill that one home. Because at the moment, they need one person playing. They need a Revnon. Someone doing something strange that's going to make them win the game. One person needs to do it.
I really thought that was going to be game 2 for them with Crushing Rock on the Kog'Maw. It's not something we see very often, paired up with the Braum especially. They had a composition that could buy Kog'Maw that space, but they just ended up not playing for him at all, and it let Revnon just sort of run the game the way he wanted to, which when you let Revnon do that, you're not winning that game.
Yeah, there is also that case in the back of my mind that they just need to maybe just go back to something simple that's very meta focused and make sure
like
they understand their win
Lulu
conditions. Jinx Lulu is fine. I wouldn't even mind the Kog'Maw Lulu, but like I want
classic.
something just makes a little bit more sense, because a lot of the drafts they have components of success, and then a lot of it is just this is comfort. Things need to fit. The jigsaw needs to be a complete, and right now it just doesn't feel that way.
Yeah, we're hoping to see a more complete Team GDK. And I think at this point, you're not taking first or second seed. You've lost your first 2 games. It feels pretty rough. But coming into this game, you can at least have a little bit of a momentum take back. You can get a little boost coming into the playoffs and say, hey, we may have lost our first 2 games against teams that are obviously strong. They also went 2-0 in their first 2 games. They're good at teams. But if we can beat OMG here, like the other top rated seed, and like get some of that confidence back coming into the first playoff round for them, they could start to actually mount a path for them to get to semifinals, to get to finals.
Yeah, and as I said at the start of this, it's like these are your last practice live games. So scrims will always go different. The vibes are always different. When you're playing on stream, when you know these games matter, things will change faster than you can kind of keep up with. And they need to do this. They need to figure this one out. So just go back to basics and make sure that you know exactly where you want to be on the map at every single point.
Yep, I've just heard from our producer that we should be ready to get into draft in just a little bit here. They enter champion select in the actual game client itself, so we should be ready to go run through draft here in just about a moment. You mentioned Kog'Maw Lulu as a potential expectation, Jinx Lulu, just something where you give Crushing Rock the resources to play his game. Is there anything else that we're kind of hoping to see? We're talking about like simplistic meta style stuff.
Ari Maokai.
Ari Maokai, I think, would be a great combo.
Yeah,
even something like in a Mumu. Maybe you run like, instead of Kog'Maw Lulu, you throw like a Mumu support, and you just say, "Hey, we're playing Misfortune of Mumu. We're running it way back. Curse of the Sad Bullet time."
Yeah, that could definitely work too. It's just that it's one of those ones where if a Mumu misses one bandage toss and then lands the second, you see him to start to melt randomly, and it can be unfortunate, but we'll have to see how they do and what they want to do in this draft. There is
misfortunate.
If I make at least I don't need this. If I make
one person sigh like that in a day, I know I've succeeded. I know that's where I've gotten my win.
I'm sure there's someone out there that has like a knife with your name on it.
I would be surprised.
Did I say the inside part outside?
I think you did, yeah.
Checking on my dog, he's sleeping on the couch behind me. Yeah, I think Kog'Maw, it wasn't bad. I think that's a good idea. I think there's an idea there that works for them. Kog'Maw is one of those champions that's a lot of fun to play. I know that if I ever get to play Kog'Maw again, I do enjoy playing with the Lulu more than I would like to play with a Braum. I do want some sort of Talia, Ahri mid lane that can set things up for me. That can...
something that's more utility, yeah.
Yeah, something that's just around me and protecting me. And I want that big tanky jungler that just wants to stand on top of me. Like, if you're going to play for a puppy comp, play a puppy comp. Don't play half around it. You have to
hear
go
me
for it.
out. Now, hear me out. Steal a take from Revenon, but run it mid lane. Set mid for FYS. Truly buy the space for your Kog'Maw.
Yeah, they'll just get Syndra'd though.
Well, it didn't happen last game.
Well, yeah, well, the Syndra never got off the ground, really. We didn't really see Syndra get the opportunity to do so, but that was a different person playing Syndra. But yeah, I think genuinely I expect to see a lot more Syndras, Nautilus, Alistair, kind of creeping into Titan as you go into these playoffs.
Seen Leona today.
It's fallen off.
It
It's
has, and
kind of
that's kind
been
of a
found out
shame.
with Alistair. Like that's just the only difference. Alistair, with its increase in its play rate, is just so much better into Leona because Leona goes in, Alistair headbutts them back the way, and it creates too much space for Leona to actually respond correctly. So yeah, it's just one of those picks that if they find the answer too quickly, you don't see enough of it, and then the other thing gets nerfed, and then the other thing creeps back. So we'll see it quite likely with Skarner coming back into meta pretty soon once Xin Zhao gets nerfed.
We are seeing the bans coming through. Vi, Aurora, Zyra. So not the Lulu that we've seen against TMG DK for the past 2 games, which means that it's going to be available for them. They're just going to take it as first pick. And I can't say that I disagree with this. It's just a good, well-rounded first pick.
Yeah, so this is where we should see the Kog'Maw, but like with Lulu now and Zyra
Jinx.
gone, it's going to be Jinx Nautilus again.
Jinx against them, of course.
Yeah, so you take the Nautilus now, and then you take the Syndra, and then that's a perfect 1-2-3 for OMG. The response to that should be Kog'Maw, and maybe Ahri.
Kog'Maw, and I think you want your mid laner here to get the counter pick versus that Syndra. You don't want to see your mid laners pool get pinched even further coming into that second round, but maybe you care a little bit more about your jungler. Maybe you want something like that Maokai since you don't have the Vi, like a Skarner even. Like Xin could get picked into you and that kind of sucks, but you have a Kog'Maw and a Lulu behind you, so Xin is not the most threatening, as it's actually just going to be the Mbessa locked in here.
Yeah, I don't mind that coming in from Night Ravens. I think after seeing so much Mbessa today, I don't really mind repeating it, but there will be the Nautilus on the other side of things. I'm surprised to not see the usual trade-off here that we see in the top side with Cassante versus Mbessa. Isn't that usually how the top side goes?
TMG should probably just ban Cassante here. Like, I understand that it's fallen off in terms of meta favor, but it's still really good. That champion is just kind of like always going to be around. But it seems like they might be focusing more about the jungle pool instead. They've already banned out the Master Yi. Udyr's going to get banned. Jarvan will be gone as well. I think we're going to see a lot of junglers disappear here. As now with Xin off the table, maybe that Skarner is an available pick.
Yeah. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Why are you banning Jax when the Mbessa does fine into Jax?
This is just a Cassante pick, right? For OMG? Like, this just has to be Cassante.
Yeah, like I didn't actually expect it to go through, but yeah, it's gonna be Cassante. And then what do you take in response here? Like the Maokai's still available, Skarner's still available.
I would prefer Skarner, but I can see them going with Maokai just because he has a really good map control. But I'd like Skarner still.
There's the Ahri from earlier.
Yeah, Ahri Skarner is also still just like a decent combo. Like, they don't have a ton of damage, but you have Mbessa Kog'Maw. You don't need a jungler that does a ton of damage. So again, something like the Maokai or the Skarner, I think, is really what we're expecting. And there's the Maokai.
Yeah, it's a nice and easy draft for them. What can you actually expect here in the end of this one? Like, the jungle pool should be Skarner, but it's not really great with this comp because there's enough engaged setup and spread.
Ooh, I like the Lilia here. I'm a little worried about it into Mbessa Kog'Maw. I feel like she might just melt, but having that utility of the multi-man sleep to let Jinx get her resets, to let Syndra get a full combo off on somebody and get Jinx those first bit of excited procs could be really good.
Lilia's not getting a chance to play into this.
Her gameplay. Yeah, her game plan is flash Q sleep and pray that you hit Kog'Maw and Lulu. Because you have to hit both of them, or else Kog'Maw's got Mikhail's and Lulu has Mikhail's and Kog'Maw has Glance.
Yeah, the other thing is that like you get a play every 5 minutes then. So you're playing for a 5-minute buffer in a game that will probably last 30 minutes, and it's going to take you 8 of those to get to level 6. So you're looking at the opportunity of one flash sleep, and if NA's history is aiming to go by, you'll land
don't
it.
remind me. Oh,
None of your team will go towards it. Literally,
Oh,
the
it hurts.
10-man sleep.
The 9-man sleep. Ugh. Speaker was the only man awake on that map. Poor guy.
So yeah, I don't like the Lilia pick here. Obviously, I don't know enough information about OMG and how much they play, but like we can see TMGD, we can see this very clearly. TMGD are 7-0. They went undefeated. OMG were 6-1. They went nearly undefeated. Now we're going into playoffs. A patch has changed. TMGD have lost all of their games today, so they're 7-2. OMG have lost all of theirs for 6-3. So both of these teams have fallen off in this patch, and their patch reads, they're missing something.
Yeah, which is a little concerning considering that starting tomorrow, technically, the patch will swap over. Will be on 25.05 now, I believe, or 25.06, I think, is the next patch. As we're going to be moving on up in the world, there's more champion changes coming down the line. And if the meta read is this bad this late into the patch cycle, what's going to happen once the patch shifts over again?
Yeah, I think genuinely some of the teams, even some of the previous ones we've seen in the last couple of weeks, the patch reads aren't great. Like Jin Zhao should be priority in every single game. Darius not being played as much in the jungle, even though it is getting nerfed, but we haven't seen enough of it.
I'm glad that we're not seeing it in competitive, if I'm being real. I'm happy to not see that guy around.
We saw it in OQ and it was disgusting.
It was.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, these 115 Raptor wards, I hate this. I hate this so much.
It just seems to be the kind of the standard for when you're warding in the enemy jungle. You get an idea of what they're going to be doing early on into their pathing. If they're going to be moving from red to raptors going up, if they're staying on their blue side, if they're starting raptors and moving down, as there's a potential scuffle here on the level 1 on the bottom side. Kama Lulu playing aggressive into the Jinx Nautilus. Homura's going to start getting very low. Crushing Rock already about half HP. Voices are back, got near to lethal tempo completion. So potions popped. It might be OMG slightly favored, but not by a ton.
See, the thing is with Jinx is the longer the lane goes, the better she is because she gets the automatic attack speed buff from her Q. And if the W is down from Kog'Maw, Jinx will win those. And right now the voices are back. They are screaming.
Yeah, the real thing for Jinx is the longer these exchanges go, the less mana she's going to have. Biscuits don't give that mana back anymore. And yeah, you might have something like the Presence of Mind to give you a little back over time, but it's not a ton. You're just going to run out of mana and get forced out of the lane.
Yeah, so we're going to see the Jinx probably return early here. But we probably won't see a cull come out. I don't think they have enough CS to get one of those, so it's just going to be refillables. But that's okay. That's not terrible. Like Jinx is in its current state is I'm going to go to the lane. I'm going to hit the waves. I'm going to leave. That's it.
Yeah, Homura is going to potentially make his presence known here. Charm just barely sidestepped by Epitome. Orb of Deception goes a little bit wide, but Epitome with Mitsu footwork managing to stay safe for now as Floops and Homura in their area. There's the flash. There's Bramble Smash away, but the Foxfire tracks him down, and Homura's just going to take out the turret and get executed. Fast recall for Homura, but first blood to TMG DK.
Yeah, nice little play there, especially after the long response time to the Nautilus roam. Lulu eventually goes up and goes, I'll stick around for this one. FYS nearly lands that charm, which would have changed things, but great work regardless to get this kill, set themselves up. Homura, I want to see exactly when you start getting hit.
I think it's just when Floops just walks out. Homura thought that the Foxfire wasn't going to track, was willing to just die to get the first blood, and sometimes the support dies, and that's just kind of how it is.
It's not like support lives matter.
I'm gonna be real. Sometimes they do, but more often than not, they don't, and it sucks.
Yeah, but then when the supports get too much agency, ADCs don't exist.
Yeah, it's a tough balance to try and make. It's a tough balance. I genuinely feel bad for Riot trying to balance supports sometimes because if they're too strong, you see Leona's 1v1ing a tank shredding AD carry and life is miserable. But if they're too weak, then supports just end up being literal ward bots and nobody has fun playing that.
I just think they should stop allowing supports that aren't supports into the game, like Bard, Pike. But regardless of this, we're going to see a gank come through from Floops. But the power of hooks is stronger than the trees, as we see Nautilus get away from that one. And this freeze is detrimental.
Ooh, that's diabolical. Great tanking from Homura just to make sure that this wave is going to sit right here. And The voices are back, and Panda just have to keep this one shoving. Thankfully, with the ward, they'll be able to see that the jungler recalls, so you don't have to worry about Floops just finding his way into the lane, and you can get this wave to hit the tower. Power of Jinx or rockets are just too damn good, and the freeze will end up being broken.
Yeah, the freeze will be broken, and will once again reset. Will we see a cull come out from this Jinx? Will they want to play this one as safe as possible, or will we just see the classic slingshot? But no, it is going to be
Cole v. Cole.
Yeah, so a nice and spicy, calm game for us for once.
Yeah, after the last two games were a lot of action throughout most of the game, I'm kind of happy for this one. I'm happy to let you take the lead, and I'll hop in every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to talk absolute raw about the fact that Casante's very low on mana, but having a great time up there in top, as top lane islands have been they've been landmarked. The flags have been planted, and neither of them really want to fight too much. In the jungles, it's a tree versus a deer, and usually you would think if a tree would fall, it would catch the deer, but no, the deer has been hip hopping his way around and has been surviving for now. So Source Walker just going to keep on scaling up as they have mirroring builds right now, but a lot more farm in favor of Lilia in the mid. One of them is playing for Splinters, the other one is playing for their jungler that has yet to do much, as we're just going to straight up trade objectives in bot lane. We've seen enough of that. It's Cull on Cull.
Yeah, it's Cull on Cull. The objectives are being traded. This is going to be a much slower game. As it kind of makes sense. Both of these teams have scaling AD carries. They have at least a scaling mid laner and a scaling top laner. So they will be playing for the late game. Charm doesn't manage to be landed there by FYS, but it's Dragon, traded for Grubs, bottom lane. Still managing to have control here for OMG. I'm glad we saw a scuffle around the bottom side at the very least for Team GDK, but Satyr, I'm getting worried again. Floops is spending a lot more time on the top side than I would like with the Cogmog comp.
Yeah, it feels like TMGD are just practicing protect puppies and forgetting where the puppy is. The puppy's just lost. As
This is a
Hamura
level
is
3 Lulu. Does Hamura actually do anything here? He's going to land the Polymorph. FYS has ulti, so the Charm's going to land. And Source Walker forced to use that flash defensively. FYS with the dash over the wall. That's just a free pickup, punishing the greed of the OMG jungler.
a lot of that does come down to the Lulu just being able to sit in that bush and wait for it. The Polymorph is the strongest ability in League of Legends.
It's
and
so
that is-
disgustingly good.
It's not a joke. I'm being serious. It is the strongest game or strongest ability in the game. So yeah, it's going to be able to do that to you. You cannot get away from it. And Amora sets it up perfectly. Nice knockdown. TMGD looking to get that third kill on board. As right now, Panda is facing the wall in the bold corner.
He's playing Brush Nautilus. Crushing Rock is level 6 thanks to all that solo XP. Is a nice little sidestep there from Knight Ravens, but the supports are kind of okay to go down in XP in a game like this. Like, yeah, the ultis for both of them are very impactful, as we got an engage on the bottom side. Ignite burned onto Hamura, but not too much found off of it. But yeah, the supports are kind of just okay to be like, hey, our AD carries are the ones that are important. We're going to go down in XP to make sure that they stay up in XP as Panda gets the hook in, but Hamura has the shield, has the polymorph. Panda not able to lock that one down for the voices, but Crushing Rock, you're face first versus the Jinx, and she's got lethal tempo. You got to be worried about her. Low man on the cog ball. The Super Mega Death Rocket dodged out by Homura, managing to flash away from that one. Scary trades in the bottom lane, but no one dies.
No one dies, but ult has been used. We do see a Maokai creeping up into that top side. I think there might have been a glimmer of that scene there. I'm not too sure if they were actually spotted, but Rover is stepping back, as Rover has been doing quite a lot. They just want to farm under this tower, play Cassante. Stay safe, stay alive, do your thing.
If you make it to late game on Cassante, you've done your job correctly.
Yeah, it's the classic top lane kind of vibe. It used to be Gnar that used to be that champion. If you get the late game, you just win.
You press your ult on what, like a 16-second cooldown, something like that?
Yeah, it's changed now. It's not as great as it used to be. But yeah, so Gnar has been hit a rough spot with all the nerfs, but Cassante has taken that spot quite easily, as they are going to attempt this one. Panda should be able to just hook the wall to get out, but Voices are back by have the flash.
Yeah, Floop is going to go in. It's on to the Nautilus, but it will be Feat of Warfare granted over. Floops is going to end up dying, and Voices are back. We'll get that reset, and now Hamura, only level 4 on the Lulu, is the one in trouble. They're going to try and donate it over to the Jinx. The slow from that Glitter Lance is going to come through, and I think will mean Crushing Rock might make it out, but no, the catch up. Jinx is too excited. She does not care. A double kill to the Voices are back.
And that was the thing TMGD really did not need. They do get the Feat of Warfare. That's great, wonderful. You got Panda down. But Jinx gets the kills. Jinx gets strong. Jinx wins games. That is probably the greatest design champion in League of Legends as a whole, as it's incredibly fun to watch, but its damage output is incredible as a hyper carry. And if you give that advantages, it will take them every single day.
Yeah, a double kill to an early game Jinx is not what a Kog'Maw Lulu lane wants to see, because suddenly, when you're worried about, finding opportunities as a 2v2 for Kog'Maw Lulu to make trades like that happen, when Jinx gets stronger, you can't trade versus her. And Sater, we talked about it between games after game number 2. I think it's going to be Ginsu's
makes
first
great
again.
movies, correct?
We talked about the build path for Crushing Rock on this Kog'Maw and the questionable decision of going for the Ginsu's first instead of the Blade of Ruin King. Now, there are less tanks in this game as it is only Cassante Nautilus. You get 2 melees instead of 3, but it's still going to be the Ginsu's first, and I still think that's not the right call.
There is... Okay, so there is arguments for why you go Gwynso's first, is that you can activate everything faster, and never mind, there's going to be a fight.
Homura's just picked off and deleted before the fight can even start. TP in from Rover and from Night Ravens, but Night Ravens has to use that step of the Drake Hound to get out. Epitome potentially getting bursted down. That Spirit Rush putting in a lot of work. Maokai Ultimate does not manage to find value, but the Ignite from FYS will pick up the kill. Void Grubs do go over to OMG, but they don't get anything else. The fight's going to be all in favor of TMGDK. A double kill to FYS. Flash burned by Source Walker, and OMG walk away slightly less happy.
Okay, so back to my original point. More people now are building Gwynso's first on the Kog'Maw than into Bork. Recommended build is still Bork into Gwynso's. The reason why you're going to go for that Gwynso's first is to activate your magic damage earlier, because most people will slam the cheaper armor items first. And if you're not getting a super tank in the bot side, you just go for Gwynso's. I don't like that. I like healing, but it is the more
They found Panda, smites in for Floops. He's gonna manage to get the dragon, and OMG have overextended into this fight. Sourcewalker can't get in, can't manage to find a sleep, will not get the lullaby off in time, but it still goes on cooldown. That's rough. Shut down over to FYS. Night Ravens picks up a kill, and TMGDK have comfortable control over this final game.
Also, one of the other more interesting things about the Gwynso's first build is you do not take your E, you do not take your Voidus.
Oh, really?
Until you cannot take anything else.
Interesting. I guess for the extra attack speed off of Q and the percentage health damage off your W. That makes sense.
Well, your W is the longer range attack speed.
Yeah, it's the long range attack speed and it's the extra magic damage on hit. That's where your tank shred comes from.
Yeah, so you go WQ all the way through. You just don't stop, and you never take the slow. So it is just about percentages. Obviously, Crushing Rock has taken it here, so it's a little bit different there. But yeah, so it's just crazy.
FYS and Floops. FYS does have the Spirit Rush, but the amount of CC coming through means that you will not be able to get that off. Shut down over to Epitome, and Floops should be the next to go. Doesn't have the flash, and the voices are back. Is now on a killing spree. It's going to be a hyper carry on hyper carry game for this final one.
Yeah, Kog'Maw is still behind. We've seen this before. It did manage to get some free space in the last one, so I want to keep an eye on that.
Do you see the inventory?
I'm not talking about it. I'm not going to talk about it. But Ari, everything hurts. Okay, everything hurts.
She does do a lot of damage. You're absolutely right. That's a champion that hurts.
Yeah. Mage Eyes is crazy though. Mage Eyes is wild.
to die and immediately pick up the Mage Eyes, I think is such a bold choice. FYS must be feeling incredibly confident about his ability to carry this game. And we were talking about earlier, Ari, in pro play especially, is much less of a dive assassin champion and more of a utility champion. You dive with your jungler, you accelerate them, you accelerate your bottom lane. You play for the map, not for the selfish play.
FYS just stepping into the Syndra. Playing a little bit wild right now. Sourcewalker is in the area. Sourcewalker not having the greatest of games. On Lilia, we have seen them try to set people to sleep and immediately die. They are doing quite well in terms of against Floops, but I still think there's a lot more we want to see from this Lilia, because the later this game goes, the harder it is for Lilia to get fully activated. While right now, towers are just the name of the game, is they're chipping away at each and every one of them, while Panda, this is not
Panda,
your
you
fight.
don't have an ally here yet. Voices are back. It's still a little too far away, and with that Lulu speed up, yeah, that's gonna be a Nautilus down to a quarter of HP. So difficult to get an engage off should they need it. But your Jinx is still strong at least. Has that finished first item, whereas Kog'Maw's still sitting on those components. So you could go for a suicide play and just try and make it a 1-for-1 or a 2-for-1 and get your Jinx that gold. But he's gonna make the smarter play instead. He's just gonna recall.
I'm just enjoying watching top lane for the first time in like 3 games.
It's dashes on dashes on
any
dashes.
top lane like at all over the 3 games, and it is great just to look up at the islands and watch them just bounce off each other.
They're hitting each other all right. They sure are making progress on each other's health bars.
It is back to the original wet noodle fight top.
Which is crazy because Ambessa is a champion designed to do a lot of damage.
And Cassante is a champion designed to take a lot of damage.
Well, he sure is designed, that's for sure.
Yeah. 1,000 years?
I think it was at like 300 and something when he first got released. As it's going to be completed for the Voices Are Back. So far, the members of TMGDK are unspotted, but OMG want to be the first to make the play. Crushing Rock's going to get stunned up, and that might just be a dead Kog'Maw. Lulu cannot protect him from all the damage that comes through. Epitome will be the next to go, though, as FYS is going to start resetting with a Spirit Rush, but will get shut down. It ends up being a 2-for-2, but the carries for TMGDK are gone, whereas OMG still have Source Walker, who still does plenty of damage on the Lilia.
And more importantly, the kills go over to Jinx. Again, double kill for the Jinx in that situation is better than anything else. You could have lost the other 2 members. It would have been fine. You just want Jinx.
Engage on the Panda here. That's an Aftershock Nautilus. Heal use from Homura just to try and escape, as Source Walker now out of mana as well, so we'll be forced to run away. The odd exchange there in the bottom side after the fight was already over.
Yeah, and we're losing more stack on the Magi's again, but yeah, a great little walkthrough. Yeah, I'm kind of worried now though, because Kog'Maw knew all this was happening. Still gets caught on that one. Every bit of CC lands. There is no saving that. And as the Drowsy goes through, Amora can't even join this fight, and Jinx gets both of those, I believe, as well. Because I thought it showed up double kill, but maybe I was mistaken as I see the little sword appear over Syndra.
Epitome picked up one, and Jinx picked up the other. So the 2 important carries getting the kills is the big deal for OMG here.
Yeah, and Source Walker, if the mana was available, Floops was dead there. Dead to the rights. But no, it's going to cut back and we're going to get a Drake now available for OMG. Is that their 3rd objective as well?
It should be. They were uncontested on Grubs, so if this dragon goes over, that will be objective number 3. It will just be up to whoever gets first tower, which seems like it's in favor of TMGDK, but things can turn on the tip of a dime as you have a Jinx on the enemy team. She can crush turrets.
If they can get to it, and Bessa gets the top tower first, though, which means TMGD win that. They get boots.
Yeah, but this turret is already gone, and now the Voices Are Back starts to get some resets. Amora forced to use the ulti defensively on himself. Super Mega Death Rocket flashed away from again. Deja Vu. Amora survives that one, but losing ult and flash on Crushing Rock as well. And your turret still dies. That feels really bad.
Yeah, so the more I'm looking at the spotlight, the more I just feel like Kog'Maw and Lulu don't have the juice to get to this mid-game spike, because we're going to start seeing major objectives in the terms of 3rd Drake, which will put them on Soul Point. We're going to start seeing Akatan spawning very, very soon. Kog'Maw won't be in the right place.
Does do quite a bit of damage, manages to find the solo, and this is the carry for TMGDK. This already is built 4 damage, 4 kills, has now 5 stacks on that Medjai's, managed to get some of those back with that solo kill, but again, you've got your Protect the Puppy comp, but your puppy is starving. This man is not fed.
It's literally like animal abuse at this stage that Kog'Maw is so far behind. It's something that needs to be watched now, because we'll have to keep an eye on Crushing Rock throughout this whole thing to see, will they finally get a kill? Will they get the opportunity to get some gold, as we get a slight buffer there, which means we might be getting a pause screen at some stage. But yeah, we're going to see the Rift Herald spawned. It will crash, but it won't be jumped into with reduced damage. And they will get a setup onto the Maokai here. That's not what you need.
For Floops. It does still do a lot of damage. The Voices Are Back Hurts the Maokai a lot as he did go for the Leandries first, so fairly squishy on the pick currently, but they're not able to finish him off.
No, they weren't able to finish that one up. And look, the tower still stands. There's still a lot of work to be done to take those last few towers. I'm kind of worried about this fight here. This could be a big one.
Yeah, the top laners are trading with each other. It is level 13 on Night Ravens, though, so Rover is just going to end up walking back. He's got his armor and a half item, so he's feeling slightly more confident to take trades at the very least.
Enemy is going to eventually scale past Asari, right? Magi's be damned.
I don't know. A Fed Ari can do a lot of work, but it's just going to be a matter of how well can FYS actually pilot it, because this is the deal with Ari. If you're not piloting her perfectly, if you're not perfect microing how many Spirit Rush resets and how much damage you're getting off your Foxfires and your Orbs of Deception, Syndra will outdamage you. Her point and click abilities are just better than yours.
Like, eventually 1R will be the difference. As all out on the top side is the camera can't even catch up to the Cassante.
Yeah, Sourcewalker also forced... Yeah, Sourcewalker also forced to lose Flash as Floops tried to get a Hex Flash in, didn't manage to find it. But lost Flash on that Lilia. We were talking about that as the big, important team fight factor for OMG, and we haven't managed to see a Flash sleep yet.
No, we haven't actually seen a multi-man sleep.
It's just been one target, yeah.
There's a lot more women, Yordles, and Tree. So you can't really say multi-man.
Man is the gender-neutral plural. It's like in Spanish, you say Eos instead of Eos when you're talking about a group of mixed gender people.
Still Irish. I don't know Spanish.
Well, you should have taken it as a secondary language in, what do you call it, primary school? I don't know.
My secondary language in primary school was English.
What was your primary language? What did you learn in the household? Good parents. Yeah, I got nothing to say to that. That's good parenting.
Yeah, I learned Irish first. Can't speak it now though, because I've completely forgotten how. But still.
But hey, keep the culture alive. That's good parenting.
No,
it's not their fault that you lost it.
Gone. The culture is now drinking whiskey. And whatever Cillian Murphy says is next.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd listen to it.
Apart from dropping bombs, we're not doing Oppenheimer.
Maokai ultimate used here. Panda potentially caught out, but just manages to Spider-Man his way out, sidesteps the ulti, and is no longer in trouble. FYS ulting in, finds the charm onto a pit him. He doesn't get a lot of damage after that, though. Public execution, though, will land and flash in to the backline for Night Ravens. They're looking for the voices are back. They will finally pick him up. FYS manages to get that kill. It's a double over to him. Omura forced out of the fight with that all out from Cassante, who's gonna manage to pick that one up. A double kill the Sourcewalker as well. Trades on trades, and no team is clearly taking a lead here as now that Panda walks forward, it's a slight victory over to TMG DK as Sourcewalker and Rover are going to be forced to run away.
Yeah, I feel like that could be one of those moments that we see on the LPL TikToks where it's just Jinx is like, yeah, I'm safe. Nothing hit me. And then Abessa appears over the wall at max speed. So if you watch this back, right, watch this. So FYS, fed up of losing 3 games in a row, says, no, I'm not in loser's queue. User in loser's queue. And sends it. Voices are back, like, oh, thank God, away from the Maokai. FYS goes, okay, cool. Doesn't land the charm onto the Jinx. Does land the damage. Abessa ults the target and then changes target. Public execution and kills the guy in the background. It's some weird John Wick-esque ability right there as Amora somehow survives the rest of this. But I also want to point out how insane FYS was and how insane Night Raven was.
Yeah, this is
something like that.
This is what we were talking about with FYS on the Ahri. If you're not playing perfectly, if you're not maximizing every little bit of damage that you can, you'll get outscaled. And FYS is not interested in that. He wants blood.
FYS is on a spree of murderous intent. 10, 2, and 3. And this is one of those things that happened a long time ago. And most people won't remember it. But Piglet had to play mid lane for Team Liquid.
Oh, yeah, back in the day. Oh, man.
And he built Lichbane, and he got absolutely assaulted by Reddit, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch.
Little did we know he was just a little over a decade before his time, as that's a sleep on to Floops, who's eventually going to get picked off here. Sourcewalker with that burn will manage to grab that pick, but with no objectives up, it's not going to... Oh, wait, hang on. There is an objective up. Otacon is up.
Otacon is up, but I'll go back to it. Piglet, I was one of those people that was on Twitter flaming you. I was right. It's fine now. But when you did it, it was absolutely awful. It was absolutely the worst thing I've ever seen in my entire life. You should have never been allowed out of that bot lane cage. But as we do have Atakan being
Bot
started up
lane
here.
cage.
Yeah, he deserved to be in that cage. Let's be honest. Absolutely, detention zone. But yeah, back to this Atakan. It's starting up decent damage here, and once the voices are back, starts getting those stacks with the Q and starts really pumping damage in, they should be fine. But the response TPs sends them backwards.
Yeah, and I think that's fine. You get the teleport out of the Ambessa and you say, hey, that's a small win for us. We will take that. We got to pick on their jungler. We trade it for their teleport. Happy to just take that. And the next time we get a pick, they won't have that teleport to respond.
The next time they get a pick.
I'm assuming that they will.
Also, the April Fool's skins are now on PBE.
Yeah, I saw that Shaco one. I'm not happy. It's a great skin. Don't get me wrong. The quality of it is fantastic. It's a Shaco skin, which means I'm going to be seeing more Shaco. And that makes me sad.
It is one of those games now where it's Baron versus Atakan. And genuinely,
I think Otacon is more
Baron
worth it in a game like this.
No, I don't think so. I think Baron opens up everything for you.
Super Mega Death Rocket going to be caught by the shield on Crushing Rock. I think the Baron, it's going to depend on how well they use it, because we have to remember Otacon is a permanent buff. That Infernal Dragon, if they can start stacking up more of them, is just going to get more and more value. The 3 grubs they have means the turrets will die faster in front of them. It's just going to be a matter of how this Baron buff is used. If OG can even get it, as it's going to be brought down. Sourcewalker will finally grab it as Floops is going to pop the ulti. I think Rover may just end up being the sacrificial lamb for the rest of the squad to get out. A public execution denies the blast plant escape, and now a charm from FYS means that Rover has nowhere to go. He's taken out back like old Yeller. Unfortunate.
Like, genuinely, I think Baron here, if they can get one good push, will end this, especially if... Now, this is going to be a weird one, but if Jinx can just get to that mid tower and there's people nearby, that's a free reset. That's enough to set you up, and that's enough to kill FYS. One reset and enough damage is enough to do that.
With the 3 grubs that they have, I can't disagree with you. I think once Jinx gets her Infinity Edge, she will be very scary. But I think we also need to point out that Jinx is building correctly this game. We're not seeing any shenanigans of like any weird build paths. We're seeing Infinity Edge third. We saw Yuntal first. We get the Armor Pen second because you're dealing with, Maokai. I think that's fine. I think it's a good call.
Yeah, it's... No, I don't think anything's a good call anymore in League. It's genuinely getting to that stage where I've watched so many, like, repeated, like, champions that I genuinely don't think I could ever go without Fearless again. Like, if Titan says next year won't be Fearless, I'm not coming back. I'll retire myself this time.
Instead of being forced into retirement, you'll pick retirement. As we're getting set up here for the dragon fight that's happening in just about a second, Floops is looking for a potential pick with the ulti. A little early maybe, but they're looking just for the damage onto Panda. They're going to find that no CC onto Crushing Rock. Rover TP's in just a little bit too late. Jinx is gone, and that means OMG is scattered to the winds. FYS lands the charm as well, and will pick up the kill. Rover not managing to find any values. FYS just gets the reset. Spirit rushes away, and this is the TMG DK that we were hoping to see all day.
This is the Team GD we're used to. The one that went 7-0. They didn't lose a single series. They were undefeated. And going into this playoff run have just faltered. This has been their best looking comp of the day. And everything here makes sense. And FYS looking unlocked again. It's something I highlighted right at the start. The first 5 minutes we were getting onto this. FYS is one of your carries. Crushing Rock is one of your carries. When these two are unlocked, you win games. FYS is unlocked on this Ahri, and you are winning the game. It is that simple. Crushing Rock doesn't even lose health in that fight. Doesn't even have to be a part of that fight, but FYS takes over. Crazy.
Yeah. And I think a big deal of that was that Panda died so early. Had flash, had ulti, but couldn't manage to get any of those off onto the rest of the enemy team. So they were just lacking that extra bit of crowd control because, like we mentioned in draft, once Nautilus is gone, who engages for this OMG team? How do they actually manage to find a fight? As speaking of finding a fight, nice little dash in from Panda to catch the charm for the voices are back. It's still going to result in his death, but great little defensive support play. Super Mega Death Rocket will not manage to find Homura again, but you know what, Panda? You died to save your AD carry. That's exactly what we expect a support to do.
Yeah, that's what you want your support to do. They also died though, which you kind of don't want them to do. But yeah. There's Jinx wants to continue that more. Someone else in that area, Jinx could have got a lot more off that one as Rover. You are getting caught.
Yeah, he's got the all-out, but he's already very low on HP. Sleep manages to find just one on the Night Ravens, gets a chunk out of him, but now with the public execution, Swordswalker's gone, shut down over to FYS. That's 25 stacks of the Magi's on that Ahri, who's doing a ton of work in this third game.
Yeah, FYS just saw the losers queue option and said no, and decided to just carry their whole team because it is an FYS carry right now. It is, no one else has shown up in this game to the point of, oh my god, they're doing something. It's just FYS, and they've ran it start to finish now, and they just need to finish this one off strong. There's still that issue is if FYS goes down, if they manage to catch the Ahri out, can the rest of them carry enough of this one as we see the catch?
May have just cast her curse because there she goes. The voices are back, picks up the shutdown, and Floop will be the next to fall. 2 kills over to the Jinx, and now Homura and Krusty Rock are on the run, and a good attempt on the flash from Panda, but managed to find it. Voices are back now down to half HP, but now with the stun landing, how many shields and heals can you give this Kog'Maw? Can you keep him alive? The answer is yes for now, but flash and barrier gone for Crushing Rock.
I said it. The Ahri dies, what happens? And they immediately get 2, and Jinx gets a massive shutdown. Jinx will be able to complete their attack speed item, more importantly, because they decided on the LDR this game, obviously fearing the Ambessa, I guess.
Ambessa and Maokai, yeah.
I wouldn't. It's a look at those items on Maokai.
Yeah, I don't like. We're not expecting the Maokai to build full AP in this game, which I think is reasonable for an AD carry. But now 4-item Jinx is very, very scary.
Is it scarier than a 15-stack Magi's Ahri, though? And the answer to that is no, because that is terrifying.
The answer to that is maybe, can Ahri land her skill shots?
Yes. I believe. FYS has been on a tear.
He has been, so we'll have to see if that continues as Night Ravens and Rover are trading as, yeah, this is 200 years versus 500 years of gameplay design experience as Rover just, there's literally nothing you could do. He unstoppables the ulti for Ambessa, but it does not matter. She has the flash. She has all the dashes she needs. You cannot escape the woman of Noxus.
Yes, they do end up blocking that for the Jinx, but still in a little bit of trouble here. Slows will land from the Lulu as well, but nothing to come from it. They do have to respond to the Ambessa in the bot side. That Baron is spawning. It has just spawned. What do you do? And the answer to this might just be send the Jinx rocket.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about with the Otacon versus the Baron. Because the Baron, a temporary objective, it didn't manage to find them any real value. But now that permanent Otacon is that rocket got a little close for comfort, but good smite from Floops, will now buff this second Baron of the game, which means that it's going to do a ton of work to any enemy turrets it gets in range of.
Getting in range is still the key point. I guess it's the flip of what you said previously to me, is like, how well can they use this? And I would say the TMG are in a much better position to use it. But on the other side, there is a kind of mismatched timing here, as 30 seconds of their time is going to be wasted by this Baron, which is due to be spawning in 20 seconds. So they all have to pull back for that regardless, because that's their soul. And we will see the TP coming in from Rover as they stopped FYS in that top side. FYS is walking to this fight. So there is a slight timing here where there will be a better positioning for OMG. But
they can't take it.
You see the jungler go for mid prio. Bot is pushing, top is pushing. They have to pull the trigger and get this, or step back and let it happen.
If they let it happen, that's Infernal Soul on this Ahri, on this Kog'Maw. And I think if that happens, the game is truly just over, because it's Ruinous Otacon as well as the hooks in. They found Homura. Can they get the burst down? Epitome finds it, but they use that Unleash power. Do they have any damage left for Kog'Maw? Do they have any damage left for Ahri? The answer is yes, they found Kog'Maw. FYS, though, still dashing away, being the hero for TMG, putting in the work, spirit rushing here and there and everywhere. It's a double kill to the hero of TMG.
Yeah, they managed to land public execution, and a brilliant follow by FYS into that one, as we're going to get a quick replay of this here. So voices are back, standing behind the Nautilus, making sure not to get caught. communication is there, but as soon as it starts, like they go onto Hamura, they land it, perfect, go, rocket, done, reset, start hitting floops here, step to the left, stay with your team, but no, knock up, punch, FYS plus Ravens, easy pickup there, and just shredded. If they had went left, if they'd stuck with the rest of their team and still had that wall in front of them, the fight was theirs.
Yeah, it was closer than I think TMG wanted it to be, but they're going to be able to secure Soul. They have the Ruinous Otacon buff. They have the Baron for a little bit longer as well. And this should just be a game that they clean up quickly. So I think we're getting to the point where we're now saying, okay, TMG, you've gotten all your objectives. You've gotten your team fights. You've hit your late game. How cleanly can you end this game?
Judging off the last couple of games we got to watch and the OQs I got to watch, no such thing as clean games in NA.
Yeah, I was about to say not at the not highest levels of competition, but I saw how we did at first stand. There's no clean games in NA.
No clean games.
We did manage to hand KC their loss though, so you know what? We got something.
Yeah, it always has been NA's thing of like, oh, we beat you at this international competition. That means we win. But we do see a catch on the Hamura.
Caught out.
Taking the scuttler.
Yeah, very confusing position for the isolated support there. Is this going to buy a lot of time for OMG to start making a little bit more happen? Because without your Lulu, your Kog'Maw is unprotected. Epitome tries to flash forward to get Crushing Rock, but your Syndra does not have the damage to one-shot the Kog'Maw at this point in the game. You do not have that. It's a double kill over to Crushing Rock as the Voices just get shoved into turret, and what looked like a great opportunity for OMG is quickly shut down as TMG are responding faster.
And not even with FYS in the area. FYS was in the top side, will eventually come back, and sleep is good, but damage is not there yet.
Run, Source Walker, run!
Does manage to get away. We won't see Bambi in League for the moment, but yeah, that's going to open up the opportunity for them to crash another wave in. Are they going to stick with it? They don't have Baron anymore, but they do have Soul. They can stay on this map for as long as they want.
Yeah, the Infernal Soul is putting in a lot of work for them. It's the 3 Infernal Dragons stacked, which I believe, if I'm remembering right, is 12% increased AD and AP, with an extra 25% on top of that. So 15% extra AP and AD. That's a lot. That's a big number. That's like half a Rabadon's in terms of AP value.
Half a Rabadon's doesn't sound too bad.
Half a Rabadon's for free is pretty dang good, especially considering that your Ahri has a 25 stack Magi's and also has a Rabadon's. Can we just get an AP
We're
check?
going to change Magi's at full stacks to Yankee with no brim.
How much AP does FYS currently have? That's 868. That's a big number.
Yeah, Yankee with no brim diff. Yeah,
God, it's so old.
It's mad to think that it's like only like 3 years old.
And yet it is so old.
Oh, that'd be old. Not like I can get any younger.
Find the Fountain of Youth, find a Lazarus Pit, pray. You have options.
Yeah.
Simply pull yourself up by your bootstraps and work harder. You'll get younger.
That is the most boomer statement I've ever heard you say. I think you should be like 45 for that comment alone.
I do a decent job of emulating boomers. Speaking of emulating, that's going to be a shutdown over to Crushing Rock. Killing spree for the Kog'Maw now. And that's kind of what we saw happen with Crushing Rock earlier in the day. The Voices are back, just isolated on their own, and TMGDK were happy to feast on a solo AD carry.
Yeah, great catch, great work. That's going to be Baron in 13 or so seconds. But there's no way for them to contest. Most of their damage, if not their best damage, is that Jinx, and Jinx is currently, gray screened.
I have to ask, since we've been talking about it anytime you've seen a Kog'Maw, we're now on 4 items completed. There's still no Blade of the Ruin King, and it's not looking like Crushing Rock is ever going to buy one. Is this just new meta, or is this just stubbornness?
It is a new meta. Like, you go for like QSS or Kaenic Rookhorn last.
I like the idea of Kaenic Rookhorn just because the damage that's threatening you is the Lilia and the Syndra, and they're already struggling to kill you, so you might as well just make it impossible for them to kill you.
The only other item that does pop up is Navori Quick Blades to max out your
permanent W uptime, yeah.
Yeah. So like Kog'Maw has went through the Varus system of build anything else.
Build anything and everything as epitome. I think very happy that Night Ravens did not face check that brush, as that would be most likely a dead Syndra.
Yeah, I'm starting to think now that like it is a one team fight diff, and as much as TMGD have set themselves up with the most amount of stats possible for that one team fight, if they don't get the Jinx, it's still doomed. Like there's still the Jinx
It's
effect.
all on FYS. It's entirely on FYS and Floops to find this Jinx, to knock her down, and to get her out of the fight. Because whether it's forcing her back on 1 HP so she can't, sustain back with the Bloodthirster, can't get into the fight at all, or just straight up killing her. If she's out of the fight, TMG wins. If she's not, the fight's going to be a lot harder to pull off.
Well, we do have Elder about to spawn, and it is going to hit the rift before they've even entered the jungle. They've got to be a lot faster than this, because that's nearly 1k per auto coming out from that Kog'Maw.
Yeah,
so
turns out Kog'Maw does a lot of damage. Sleep available for Source Walker. Still holding onto those. Panda looks for an engage, but ends up eating a lot of damage. The ulti used defensively by Floops just to keep them out of the pit. Smite's good from Floops. Gets away from that Super Mega Death Rocket. And now Panda will explode with the Elder Dragon buffed by Ruinous Otacon. This should just be GG for TMGDK.
yeah, that's game, set, and match. As soon as that rocket was fired, the voices are back. Was like, oh, we didn't get it. We're out. And they step back. We even see the players are leaving the game, so they know that it's also over.
Yeah, it's done. There's 50-second death timers. They've got Baron, they've got Elder. These turrets do not stand a chance. GG's to TMGDK. They will get 1 win out of this, and I think a very important confidence win for them coming into their playoffs matchups.
Yeah, a very unfortunate game in the end for OMG, as we did see Jinx get to those full build, get all the damage they want, but didn't have the setup in the end. And FYS,
That's not Ambessa.
that isn't a Mumu, but we don't worry about that. Ambessa like landed 2 or 3 good ults. That was fine, but Ari was the difference maker. That's it. That's just how it goes. Ari made the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And FYS, all credit to them.
That was the FYS show. It does make me a little bit worried that they're still picking things like a Kog'Maw Lulu when they want to play around FYS. I'd rather than grab something like a Varus or an Ashe, if that's going to be the case. Just play a more utility-focused bottom lane, play something that's a little bit more self-sustaining, as opposed to something that needs so much help. But when FYS is carrying this hard, it's very difficult to lose a game like this.
Yeah, FYS really felt like there was something to be proved there, I think is the best way to put it. They went into this with the idea of, we are taking everything we can from this. We are not losing another game, and the Ari was the difference in the end. And yeah, Crushing Rock came through at the end. We'll give Crushing Rock some of the love there as well, and the rest of the team did step up.
Played a late game Kog'Maw.
FYS won them that game.
Yeah, but with that, we do have what should be pretty much the entirety of the results for this setup, as it looks like Elysian did beat Half-Orc Barbarians. So we have Elysian in first seed, Half-Orc in second, TMG in third, and unfortunately OMG winless on the day. They end up in fourth seed. It's not like they're out of the playoffs, but it's got to hurt your confidence a little bit to see the 3 teams higher than you end up crushing you in games like this. It's just rough.
Yeah, I also, if people are wondering why I'm looking over this way, I'm looking at the other stream, because they're about to go into game 4 on the Titan mainstream. And damn, that is a lot of champions missing. That is a lot of champions missing.
Game 4 in a Fearless series is going to be very, very spicy, but we're going to send you guys over there. We're going to hop on over to the Titan NA1 stream. That is it from us tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us. I've been Brady. That's been Sater. Anti and Sherrigan, our observer and producer, respectively, in the back, making sure everything runs as smoothly as possible. Again, we appreciate you all being here, and we will see you next time, and hopefully we'll see you over on the main stream. See you then.